start recording. Also, you might want to look at how much of your chair space this is sucking up.
Oh yeah, good idea.
So we are live.
We're live. Watch live now. SB Alger, RX Only Picture Show, number 38. Darren Williams and Tracy Twyman talk. Rapper 21Savage, MK Ultra, Elvis, and more.
So I guess we got the scoop here, you know, not everyone else has seen Elvis with his eyeballs spilling out all over the place.
Pretty creepy.
It really got me. Because he kind of looks like a frog anyway, so.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it, so I'll get to see it live the first time on Picture Show 38.
Wow.
What's up, also known as? Starting out with Particle Target. Yes.
This was requested in the new Plus Ultra Picture Show Discord, so I dropped my clip of us covering it on a past episode.
Maybe they'll find a new laptop.
Maybe they'll make a tiny black hole. Maybe they'll make themselves a white hole. Or maybe they'll create
I'm gonna find a way to finance me a fancy laptop so I can take my pink one and consign it to music production only with my new Rode microphone for watching.
When you do that, you declare it as also.
What'd you say?
When you do that, you should also name your whatever your laptop's name is. That's the new particle in the universe.
Yeah.
Happens when you post on Facebook. Like on Twitter, it's tweeting. On Facebook, it's just wasting time.
Turn out more down just a little bit here. Hi everybody, welcome to the introductory part of the RX on Plus Ultra Picture Show where it's like being the curtain is closed and you're hearing us rustling around on stage. We're moving props and we're complaining about the outriggings not working on the miniature crane and everything like that. So
playing with those bags of sand that are hanging from the ceiling by ropes and pulleys and stuff.
If I'm gonna die in a tragedy, that's the one I want.
Yeah, bags of theatrical sand dropped on your head.
Yeah. 5 are watching. Oh,
7.
Ladies.
Who do you wanna be for me?
I saw a play in Ashland, Oregon at the Shakespeare Festival where they used hanging bags of sand as a prop to simulate the either the ocean or the desert. They had them all hanging there and then they cut them open and they poured the sand out all over the stage and that changed the set. It was a really unique set change. For, you know, what's that story? The guy...
Les Miserables?
No, it's the guy, he goes in the boat, you know, like he's on his Odyssey and then he comes back.
Homer.
Yeah. What's is it the Odyssey or the
Odyssey?
There's two...
It's the Odyssey. And then there's the Iliad.
Yeah, it was the Odyssey. Because they go to the island and get turned into pigs and stuff and all that, yeah. By some goddess.
How many times a day will
What's up, Zach Bauer? An American One, it's real plus ultra hours.
He says that every time. I love that guy.
Who up?
An American has the best occult memes, and he just secretly drops them. He doesn't like put them out there. Like he's got.
I think I saw those in the Discord.
Yeah, some of those. Yeah, if you're not in the Plus Ultra Picture Show Discord, you're missing out on secret memes. No, really, you are. Links in the description.
Links in the description.
Telepathic mind flower.
And we're stranded out in the desert, but it's worth the oasis. Stranded out in the desert, but it's worth the chance. Use the telepathic power of your mind.
Welcome to the show.
Use your powers
You're just joining us.
from the side. Use the telepathic power of your mind. Use your mind to melt the breathing side. Who do you wanna be for me?
I'm gonna tag my friends.
Where do you wanna go
Good idea.
for me? How much do you wanna be for me?
I think my mic's too hot.
Whatever happened to Busha Kadeen? We don't see much of him anymore.
Good point. What's up, Gypsy Hustle? And a cult fan. A cult fan said Darwin married his cousin.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
And Zach Bauer. Picture show is the best way to fry your brain.
This is your brain. This is your brain on Picture Show, Picture Show, Picture Show.
Cult fan says they lost a few of their children young. Evolution.
Young like J-U-N-G? Evolution, yeah. Survival of the fittest. Still tagging people. I always hated people that tag a huge list on Facebook, and now I'm that people. It's me doing it. I've become what I hate. I saw that coming.
Every day.
Don't hate yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, they actually, all the motivational types say that that's a sign that you're succeeding. Like, if you find out that you're willing to accept something that you're doing now that you used to not like, it's like, oh, it's because you're leveling up. You're a badass now. You used to hate those badasses because you were insecure and envious, but now you're the badass, so it's all good.
Okay.
Not sure if I agree with that, but if you're ever bored,
If I
just-
know how much I suck, it's great.
There you go. Exactly. If you can acknowledge to yourself and other people how much you suck, then you are one step closer to true greatness. I'd say I'm one step closer to true greatness when I open up the little wooden trunk at the end of my bed and it's full of gold bars.
That's a good benchmark.
Total, like, literal physiological proof. Like, hey, there it is.
That's a
6 or 7 solid gold bars, 10 ounces each.
that's a benchmark you can sit on.
The robot keeps on calling my house. The robot keeps on calling my house.
Adam Lore predicting the
The
future.
robot keeps
Jim,
on
this is
calling my
this song's about the Archons hassling us every Wednesday on Picture Show.
Damn it.
First I thought it was Tim, but then the robot called again. The robot keeps on calling my house. This is starting to freak me out. It makes me want to scream and shout. The robot keeps on calling my house. The robot keeps on calling my house. I just want to scream and shout. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. No, I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. I cannot figure it out. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. Oh no, I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out.
That's Mr. Door. For anyone that might be wondering, if you're hearing the second voice here in this Adam Lore track, Mr. Door is a longtime musical and artistic companion of Adam Lore.
There we go.
I think we should surprise Adam and crowdfund this on vinyl, limited edition.
That's a good idea.
Just the essential Adam Lore that's from our introduction.
Yeah.
A-B side, like get one of those fancy vinyls that looks like a bowling ball or whatever. And have everybody secretly choose a bunch of his art. Like we'll all get together and vote on which Adam Lore art we like the best.
That's a great idea.
Publish the first Adam Lore album without his permission.
Have like a big poster, big trifold poster.
Yeah, exactly. Free stuff inside.
Yeah.
I used to have a fantasy that I would, because I can sing and sound quite a bit like Adam because he's my brother. So I used to have a fantasy that I would go out and become super reasonably famous as Adam Lore and not tell him. And then have him find out that someone's out there being Adam Lore and then find out that it's his brother and be like conflicted because you'd feel betrayed and like, but now I'm famous, you know, like we could have Adam Lore offs.
Who would win?
Imagine how mad the fans would be when they realized that the real Adam Lore isn't the Adam Lore they fell in love with, and now they go see the real Adam Lore and it's not the same.
If you're just joining us, welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome. We'll be pushing the button and showing you what we look like in not too long. Not gonna believe it.
Dun, dun. Tesseract card. I love that Mike Tyson. Oh, I like that drawing.
Very nice.
Feel a little extra edginess.
Edginess.
Yeah, I think it's just because we're like bringing someone into the sanctuary. Hello, Harrison. Welcome to Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
In North America.
It's Wednesday in North America.
Yes.
Well, we can give the rest of the world permission to have Wednesday as long as we're live. So, I was telling I was telling JEM Tracy that way back in the day when I was a young crazy kid, and we dropped so much acid we forgot where the time really existed. And afterwards, a friend of ours started referring to it as Infinite Wednesday, and so that was like a thing for years in our lives. That it was like if we started to kind of see the loosening of the time space and the doubt of what, where are we, what day is it, is the sun up, we don't know where the hell we are. It's like, oh crap, is it Infinite Wednesday?
Infinite
It
Wednesday.
made me think maybe we're accidentally carrying on the tradition of all those ancient years ago. Maybe
That explains
this
it.
might still be like a pill. I'm thinking like a capsule, like a little pink and blue capsule, Infinite Wednesday, like. But it wears off after about 5 hours max. Thank God.
So when you wake up on Thursday morning, 2 hours late for work, and you jump up off the couch and yell, Wednesday!
Yeah, something like that. Wait, was that it? I thought I had it on loop. Oh, it is. I remember this. Oh yeah, Tracy, do you want to remind me what the discount code is?
Oh, yes, you can get a whole year of Plus Ultra, that is the premium content at tracytwyman.com/Plus Ultra. You can get that for a special $44 for a whole year. Normally it's twice that. $44.40, let's be specific.
Nice.
$44.40. 444. Those are like the numbers of a three-dimensional reality there.
Yeah.
And
a cube.
So yeah, we're running a special right now through Michael Bloomberg's birthday, which happens
Oh,
to
there.
be...
That's what I was trying to remember where it was. Okay, so, let me adjust. I've got this kind of out of whack here. What in the world?
I wonder how many people didn't buy the special because they had to go and look up Michael Bloomberg's birthday. Well, I hope a lot. And do you know when it is? It corresponds with another...
It's not
holiday.
December 5th, is it? Please tell me it's not December 5th.
No,
Okay.
that would be too long. No, it's a very short special. No, his birthday is on Valentine's Day, the 14th.
Oh, okay.
Because he's all about love,
Yeah, that's...
Michael Bloomberg and love, that's what you think
Yeah,
of, right?
that's exactly what I think of, I don't think of like a really weird Mithraic temple and a guy like in a bathrobe drunk on blood wine or anything.
But they did have a special wedding ceremony in the Mithraic temples, if you recall, for the grade of the Venusian grade. What are they called?
I was trying to get these lined up.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead, get them lined up.
I'm trying. Here, let's just start this way. Here we come, folks. Here we are. We stopped the music. Tracy is offering for $44.40 a special until Michael Bloomberg's birthday to get half off on your Plus Ultra membership. And let me tell you, you're missing out if you're not in there. You're missing out because we're building up like a ghetto Facebook-style secret club behind the scenes in Plus Ultra. And right now, you won't know what my profile picture is if you don't have a membership. It's a secret.
There's so many mysteries going to be revealed.
Carefully.
Sorry there. My foot slipped.
So yeah, I'm trying to get the hangout. I might need to change the aspect ratio on that thing. But yeah, welcome.
Get the hang of the hangout.
Yeah, trying to get the hang of the hangout.
Let me move this
It's a little
back.
bit too big.
My head's in the corner.
But yeah, we wanted to thank everyone in the chat. If you're new, welcome to Picture Show. If you're not new and you were here last week, we want to offer you our terrific gratitude and thanks for all of your input. We intend to go back to that session and mine and hack and take notes all the way through it so that we can build those fantasies and suggestions into absolute reality so that you can order Plus Ultra Picture Show socks. You could order a mouse pad maybe, or t-shirts, leggings. We had so many ideas I can't even start to list them all off, but we want to really, I mean, we love you guys and we really appreciate it. So that's, we did start the Discord. If you go to the description of the show you're watching right now, there is a link and you can come join us on Discord, and it's blowing up. We got memes dropping over there and pictures. We got people talking about the square flat earth and all kinds of other nutty stuff. And some people are against the square flat earth. They're like, nah, that's pretty stupid. And so, you know, we've got civil debate. We've got secret titles. You can be a Smurf or a neophyte or a trans neophyte, etc. There's only 3 masters on the Discord, and you're seeing all 3 of their faces right now live on your device screen, whatever that device may be.
Oh my goodness. There we all are. Harrison called us venereal.
Venereal?
Like Venusian?
Yeah, well...
I don't know. What does it mean?
Yeah, well, venereal, unfortunately, means... like VD.
Sounds bad.
I think I never thought about it until just now. Thank you, Harrison. But you know, I think venereal and Venusian kind of go together. Sorry, Venus, but I'm gonna go ahead and blame this one on you probably.
That planet gets around.
Sometimes you get love, and sometimes you get a receipt.
I said Venusian. Harrison's saying I said Venusian. I don't think I said that.
Venusian?
Someone said that. I didn't say that.
All right. So now, sorry. Now I've got the chat on here pretty big, so it's distracting me all of a sudden.
That is what. Yeah, it is.
Which I love.
And I'm thinking, hey, wait, I didn't say that. Go ahead.
NASA was gun shy. Vabusian. The overlords. Okay, he did mean Venusian, not venereal. Or Vabusian.
I think because I mentioned like there's
Hold on.
in the next ray.
Time out. I think we're onto something here.
What's going on now?
I'm your Venus. I'm your fire. Your desire. It is venereal. The whole thing. Just yeah, baby, you've got it. Oh no. Oh no.
Have you seen the original song there, or have you only seen the one from the 80s?
I don't know if I have seen the original one.
Okay. There's a band called the Shocking Blue. They're from, I think, Sweden. They did the original Venus. And then some other band, Bananarama, did it in the 80s.
Yeah, it was definitely Bananarama. I might have heard it. I don't think I've ever seen it. I might have heard it because I remember that. I remember going and finding the original version of I Think We're Alone Now. And I think I found that at the same time.
Okay. So yes, Tiffany did I Think We're Alone Now in the 80s. Before, I guess, another band did it. Like the Turtles, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds right. I really love the song Crimson and Clover.
That would be Tommy
Yeah.
James, the Shondells.
Very
Okay,
good.
yeah.
Ooh. We could have like a rock trivia contest, me versus Tracy.
I'm just doing my best here. I'm not trying to compete here. It's just like
No.
we keep throwing things out and comparing them as though they're the same. And Shocking Blue is like, different. I mean, they're Swedish.
Yeah, I don't know. Should we throw the runes and see if we think we can? We could play it like 18 seconds at a time.
Yeah, I want to see if it before something happens. Yeah.
An
They've actually got-
unexpected okay bye.
Okay, couldn't we be able to
No.
sing karaoke, perhaps?
I think we
Yeah.
really were done some damage here by the guys from Devo. Like we're all really nervous now, and me included. Like I don't want to play anything that anyone else ever did because of that.
No, me too. I mean, and I hate it. I hate that. And the one before you came and joined us so often, Tracy, the one that we were watching, we were singing karaoke and watching and commentating on Paradise by the Dashboard Light, and I fought that copyright claim, and they came back and they're like, nope.
Yeah, they cut out
Yeah, so that's
a
gone.
whole
I mean,
chunk of our
I don't know
show.
if that show is gone or if they just went and muted their audio. But I went and fought it and wrote in all the little comment boxes like, no, we were commentating, we were talking over the song. We're watching the video and talking over the song after having been singing and talking about karaoke already and saying, hey, this is like the most popular karaoke duet there is. And we transitioned it because it is. I mean, if you've ever suffered through many hours in karaoke bars, sometimes you get to hear it 2 or 3 times in a night.
I've just noticed like they're trying to that is media companies are trying to put dibs on everything that was ever made, pretty much in the last year or two.
Yeah.
So a lot of things that were specifically labeled as being either public domain or having, certain republishing rights. Well, it doesn't matter what was labeled before because now some media company bought it and they've got a robot that will go out and zap any, reproduction of it automatically. And it's just the rebroadcast rights that they've signed. They give the companies the rights to, use their robots to go out and hunt down the competition. So if they could use the robots to find some new customers, I think that would be more advantageous for them than going around trying to get people that are literally driving new customers to them. Like that's what I put up some clips of us talking about the Fellini movie from last week, and the comments that I see are, oh, that looks very interesting. I should go find that movie. Oh, I found it and I bought it. And, that's what people say in the comments. Like, I just made a sale for, whoever owns Fellini's movies. We did. So it's like we probably made, 5 or 10 sales at least by now. So, I mean, where else are they going to get sales? Do they think they're really going to make money from Netflix? Because I can tell Netflix isn't paying these companies anything hardly.
No, all that stuff's like pennies on the dollar. If you look up Spotify as a musician, because I've got musicians that are reasonably well known on my Facebook, and sometimes they'll drop inside baseball kind of information or complain. Like Adrian Legg, I'm friends with Adrian Legg on Facebook. He's a very famous finger picking guitar player, and he just hates that stuff, And he's an old guy. So he remembers when he had to do, he complains about how it completely ruins production. Everybody's music sucks because you're not expected to publish an album and get paid. So you're just canning out lots of crappy songs. Not that he is, but he's saying is in general that it's allowing everyone to lower the bar on their standards way down, and they'll publish a lot more stuff at a lot lower quality because there's no standard. There's no you better, come with your 10 or 12 tracks of, the very best work that you have. You're going to be limited. It's going to cost you a lot of money in the studio. All that stuff. They just go sit and, do it with their laptop like I'm about to do here in a couple weeks when I transition to a new machine. It's crazy.
So what's the deal? Are they is there a different expectation of who the end customer is? Is it supposed to be kind of a specialty audience as opposed to general audience?
Well, I think back in the day that's the way, that's the way we were all raised with it, was that we were presented media only by companies. So they did all the market research. So whether you realized it or not, you were being targeted with a really specific, expensive campaign. And it was all backing up the idea that, hey, we're gonna wait 2 years from your last publication. We're gonna go on tour. We're gonna get back in the studio and like ramp up to this big thing. And now it's more like all the artists are just publishing because they love being artists and they feel a drive to have. They have a creative drive. They need an outlet for it, so they just publish whatever, And so maybe a lot of the stuff that a producer or an engineer or the band as a group would have said, don't throw that on there, we don't want that on there, we can't afford to include that, it's not high enough standard. Now the artists are like, whatever, I can publish everything, because they're either going to steal it or I'm going to have to give it to them for free anyway, so it doesn't matter, Because for truly obsessed music fans, and it's true for more than just music, but getting those little snippets and clips and demo tracks later, like say they publish a really good Weezer album, and then 2 or 3 years later they start dropping and letting out like the A and B takes or the demos or incomplete songs or songs that didn't make it on the album. That used to be a pretty common thing, but now it's like you just get it all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm wondering if that's like some of the things I was looking for recently, which are, were well-known, radio play songs. The official video that's out now on YouTube is like some live version, and I know that there was actually a video produced from a studio production of the song back in the day. So it's as if the record companies are going in and putting in these kind of, bonus tracks, things that were throwaways before, and that's the official version to play on YouTube, and then they're holding back the actual studio version and the actual, produced, edited video, which used to be a commercial for the record. Well, now that's something they're holding back in some vault somewhere to sell us later, I guess. So I don't know what's going on. I'm sure they know, but I don't.
I'm seeing in the chat that it looks like they're saying the whistleblower for the John of God thing got suicided. I didn't see that. Did you hear anything about that, Tracy?
I don't know about the whistleblower, so I would like to know about that.
Yeah, I was Googling it right now. I think I'm
get more information about that.
Because that blew my mind that I knew a person who, he was a counselor, but he passed away since. But he was talking about he was sick, and he was talking about trying to travel down there and see that guy, and he was all like kind of way into him, and the John of God guy. So I kind of looked him up at the time, and there's a lot of folks similar to that guy that do faith healing, laying of hands on people, and like supposedly extracting, like magically pulling physical ailment out of the body and all this stuff,
Yeah.
But it's usually just chicken parts, right? This is what I've heard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a dog and pony show. It's total.
Wasn't there some of that on that Man in the Moon movie with Jim Carrey? It was about I forgot his name.
I don't know if I ever watched that one. I know what movie you're talking about. There's a guy named the Great Randy who went around. He's a magician. I don't really trust the guy, but he went around trying to debunk a lot of those claims. Did you get anything?
Huh?
I was trying to.
Yeah, belief is powerful in those situations.
I remember the scenes you're talking about. Yeah, from Man in the Moon, about the guy whose name we can't remember for stupid reasons.
Yeah.
So I am seeing some headlines
What's
here.
his name?
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
work.
you. Okay. Feel better now. Good.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys an awesome technique. If you're ever in that situation, JEM, Tracy, or people in the chat, my dad taught me this, God rest his soul. If you really can't figure it out, what you're trying to think of, if you go through the letters of the alphabet one at a time, and like let your brain ruminate on it. Like, okay, I'm trying to figure it out, and then just be like A, B, and like try and resonate or feel the vibe of which one of these letters definitely starts the phrase or the name or whatever it is. And a lot of the time it works, and sometimes you have to go through the alphabet 3 times in a row, but it definitely works for me, you know. Like
you know what works for me is I can't think of things with my conscious brain as well as my subconscious. So if I just put that idea on the back burner and think about something else, then it pops in my head. It's like a subconscious.
Yeah, I definitely do that too. I learned that technique out of some kind of a book, kind of like the Dale Carnegie book. Like if you have to do something or you need something from your brain, like if you're going to go to the movies, assign your brain to solve the problem for you by the time you get back to the house, and then like you've completely forgotten about it. You intentionally forget about it. It's a lot like magic, the way they describe sigil magic and stuff, right? Like you have to get it out of your brain and into the subconscious.
It totally works.
But I've had that work lots of times. I was trying to look for a better article on this. I want to read a little bit of this if you guys are down. Journal of God, Whistleblower, Suicide. I typed Drudge, not because I love him, just because that's better than, like, I hate the clickbaity.
Do you want me to... Okay, go ahead.
I don't want to do a video as much. Like
I see a mirror. I'm looking at a Mirror article up right now.
The Mirror?
Yeah.
Is the Mirror not bad? Is the Mirror not bad? Like Daily Mail just sucks. I mean, for just like their writing's terrible, and anytime I click on them on my phone, it like makes me remember being on the internet in the 90s. Like it's just pop-ups galore and crap.
I hate that.
This is what I don't understand about. Maybe Darren can explain some. What is the theory behind British journalism here?
Yeah, that's a great question for Daz when he gets here.
Like, okay, in the United States, there's things like the National Enquirer and their Examiner, and there used to be something called the Weekly World News, which was even a worse or a different phase of this thing. But like the tabloids here, what they call tabloids, which is really just an aspect ratio of printing. You know, it's just the measurements for printing. But anyway, so tabloid is a style. But in America, it's like it means something, you know. If a newspaper is printed as a tabloid, it means that the stories may or may not be real, and like half the time they are. And I don't know how you're supposed to tell the difference, and I don't know how publications like National Enquirer get along with like half their stories not being authenticatable. And then the ones that are like explosive and a big deal, you know. And then they sometimes pay for access to this information. It's a bit mysterious.
It is.
And then in the UK, it's like most of the stories are serious on the tabloids. Like they're not just making stuff up. They're serious stories with real information. But at the same time, they might just print a story that's like all about the fact that a celebrity appeared on a beach with a particular outfit or something. I mean, it's like you might just look at the news one day, and the top story is about the way some actress's breasts looked in a particular outfit. And I don't know. It's weird because like sometimes those newspapers have really interesting stories that are true, and yet you can't really, they're not taken seriously because of the way they present their headlines, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a form of damage control. Kind of like having Charlie Sheen and Rosie O'Donnell come out as like the main celebrity 9/11 voices, right? Like, well, here's the celebrities that are considering 9/11 might be goofy and weird and bad, and it's like, well, so bring them out. And it's like, really? Don't put us with Charlie Sheen.
What did you think about the fact that the top spokesmen for Flat Earth were basketball players for the first year or two?
Yeah, I thought that was, it made me think immediately of Shaquille O'Neal in his Masonic apron, Like, it made me think, okay, so, let's see, there's a name for Prince Hall, I'm pretty sure, is masonry for black folks, or for people of color. They call it Prince Hall Masonry. Just like Eastern Order of the Eastern Star is for women. You know, now all that's kind of changing now. There was a pretty big controversy in the Masonic lodges not too long ago about, like, one of the lodges in the South got, I don't want to say disrecognized. The San Francisco lodge refused to recognize them any longer because they weren't integrating and becoming multicultural. They weren't allowing black people to join the regular lodge. They were still keeping it segregated, and so. But that's what the rappers, basketball players. It made me think it's essentially like coming down from the ranks, like P. Diddy and Jay-Z said, all right, we need some volunteers here. Give me 5 guys, and like 3 basketball players and 2 middle-range rappers popped up and said, all right, we'll come out, Or who knows, maybe there was a few guys that already definitely thought it was flat, and so then they told them, okay, we'll go public, Any of those things seem possible,
It seems like it plays up to some stereotypes, right? Like about people who may not be majoring in the sciences as a group, as much as other people, like basketball players and American blacks in general,
Yeah, they definitely are playing to the, it's subtle, but I see what you're saying. They're kind of like saying all the upper middle class white guys are going to look at that like, well, that's not very intelligent. That's the...
Exactly.
That sucks. I never thought of that part of it. That's...
Well, yeah, it's like, okay, like, one may have heard conspiracy theories promoted in the late 90s and early 2000s by musicians, in particular rap musicians. And most of these guys aren't making hits anymore, but they will be known by, older people and people that delve into music history, like Professor Griff, for instance.
Yeah.
But like, if you're not, if you're just, say, a student of history or political science, like, a young man or woman coming from a university and trying to integrate what you might have learned about those things with what's out on the internet and what people talk about today, and you notice that there's a history of black rap artists talking about conspiracy theories and usually emphasizing the Jewish angle on it, then you kind of get the feeling like, well, that's the only reason why anybody in, the general culture even knows about this stuff, is because, just sort of airheaded musicians. I guess that's how people would normally look at that, right? Like, well, these people don't know what they're talking about, but they're kind of, they're just talking about, hello. Oh.
What's up?
No, it's just I lost all video here on the broadcast from my angle, from where I'm at.
Okay, well, we can still see and hear you good, so at least...
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna rejoin here. It's about time to bring Darren on anyway. I'll rejoin in a minute, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Did you send him a link?
No, I haven't dropped him a link yet, but I'll do that right now. All right, folks. Looks like Tracy's having a small tech issue there, and so I'll fade us over to this article here. We were talking about, apparently, and I just found this out just now while we're live. I usually catch my headlines from either Facebook or Twitter. I don't really look at the news. I don't watch the news or any, I don't follow Drudge even or any of the news aggregators. Reddit sometimes, but I've got my Reddit pretty curated down to just what I want to see, my private echo chamber. But I'm just going to read this bit of this Sun article while we wait. And actually, Jim, you want to read that out so I can drop a link to Darren? Or can you do it? Can you swap the link over? I don't want to fail to do that step. I just realized I didn't. It's my mistake. Oh, I guess we should talk about it a little bit for people that aren't familiar.
I can read that if you'd like.
we're going to bring Darren Williams on. He's not super well known, but he's getting there. He's been hitting some of the podcasters and other shows, and he does a really unique thing. He comes around on Twitter and just tags and connects all different types of people on popular culture stuff, on all kinds of stuff. But I mean, I kind of see him as having more of his finger on the pulse for pop culture than I do, for sure. I mean, he seems to be doing a pretty monumental thing by being able to, I don't know, wouldn't you say, Jim? It seems like he's covering pop culture and everything else at the same time. Yeah. So, all right, Tracy's back. We were just telling people about kind of where Darren's coming from. That I think of him like as the Twitter pop culture conspiracy networking guy. That like he tags so many different people. Like he's got such far reach for what he's going after. That it helps me to see more worldwide kind of. What would you call it? That's not serious news. Entertainment news? Yeah, worldwide entertainment news. I see a lot more, especially sports, than I would anywhere else, just because he's tagging me or filling up his own feed on Twitter, and
he's been following the alternative voices for a long time too. So it makes me feel like he would be a good source to ask about. Who's legitimate and sincere, versus who came out of nowhere with no, audience of their own, no backing whatsoever, and all of a sudden they're popular. I wonder if he would have anything to say about that subject. I mean, I've never really asked him, but I know that he's been sending me messages since long before I even noticed that there were so many, what do you call it, like puppet YouTube accounts that are popular and, for no identifiable reason. So I would like to ask him about that sometime.
Yeah, sorry, I just clicked the button. I don't want it like that. I'm going to have to change it. Here, let's show everybody here. Okay, well, I don't know. Here, I'll switch this over. You tell me. Is this the Tracy Twyman that we want? The one where her head is almost twice as wide as it really is?
I can't really see.
I'm sure it'll change. I'm gonna switch that back and right click real quick. But yeah, that's Darren seems to have some insider and long-term information about kind of behind the scenes of what I would call infosec. He seems to know about info security, so I'm curious to kind of pick his brain on all that stuff. What did I do?
It was on projector, I thought.
Go back. Reset transform. Okay, that's good enough. At least now we can stretch this back out.
Just raise it up, yeah.
There, that's fine.
A little bit more so it doesn't show up.
Oh yeah, we need to take that part out.
Yeah.
All right, sorry folks, but
Oh, there's Daz in the chat.
Hello, Daz. All right, cool. So let's bring Tracy back over here. Oh, now we lost her. No, I'm gonna go back to RH2 cams now. So did you zap him the link, Jim?
No, I didn't. I don't have the link.
Oh, all right. Well, you want to go? You just go ahead and take over, and I'll do it here real quick.
Okay.
You want to? Here, I'll drag this over here, and you can. Jim's gonna try and at least get you this headline while I make sure Darren has the link. Sorry to delay you, folks.
So it says, Faith Healer Mystery. Woman who accused John of God, cult leader, of rape, mysteriously kills herself at Spanish home. Sabrina Bittercourt, 38, was reportedly living under protection in Spain after receiving death threats. There's a video linked to it. An activist whose claims led to the rape arrest of celebrity healer called John of God has taken her own life at her hideaway in Spain. Sex abuse support group Victims Unitas, which worked with Sabrina Bittercourt, said she had left a note explaining why she killed herself. Eldest son Gabriel Baum confirmed her death, writing on Facebook, "She took the last step so that we could live. They killed my mother." More than 600 women have accused John of God, real name Jaio Texuria de Faria. I think it's hard for me to pronounce it, but of sexually abusing them during so-called healing sessions. He was arrested in his homeland of Brazil in December and remained in prison before being charged with rape and sexual assault. The cult leader gained international fame in 2010 when U.S. TV star Oprah Winfrey visited his retreat to interview him for her talk show. She wrote, she left feeling an overwhelming sense of peace, although she later deleted the comments and has since said she hopes justice is done. Texeria de Fares' claims of healing powers brought people from around the world to his compounds in the small town of Abadiana. Baby farm claims. Bill Clinton and supermodel Naomi Campbell are rumored to be among the high-profile celebrities to have visited the 77-year-old. Miss Biricourt, 38, who was living under the protection after receiving death threats, claimed Texeira de Fara ran a sex slave farm. The mom of 3 claimed young girls were held captive to produce babies to be sold on the black market before being murdered.
It's crazy this is coming out in the main press. It's not letting me forward the link to Darren through Twitter, so this just happened, right? I mean...
The story's been coming out last week.
Yeah, but I mean, this lady actually having allegedly committed suicide, that's just dropping. That's a brand new thing, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
So, but let me, go ahead and give me that thing back. I'm sorry,
yeah.
Jem. Thank you for reading that for us.
Wow, Harrison's got a link with Abramovic and John of God.
All right, well, I just got to, I got to get DAZ the proper link, and then we will, I'd say we just bring him right in on this. You know, if you're ready, Darren, I'm going to drop you the link, and this seems like this is exactly, in my opinion, what you cover. You somehow tie together all the conspiracy and all the popular media stuff in one fell swoop. So I tried to forward it to you. FYI, folks, if you have an Android for your platform, it doesn't want to let you forward in DMs. Like, I went to the DM and tried to hold it down and forward it, and it just doesn't want to let you do it. So I can do it this way. Copy the link.
If there's something you need me to do, you just let me
showing
know.
up in the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's private. Or if it needs to be private.
It's pretty small. I don't think they'll be able to see it. So, all right. Almost there. We have such a patient and lovely audience.
All 27 of you. Of yous.
All right. So here we go. Opening it. So they said Clinton, and who was the other person that was allegedly visiting? The farm?
Naomi Campbell, supermodel.
Naomi Campbell's a pretty
That's weird.
big name, man.
Yeah.
So now we got the Smallville girl is like branding people and involved in similar stuff. Now, it sure seems like the QAnon conspiracy stuff is slowly becoming an actual reality. Like, a year ago, it was like, this is the most paranoid fantasy I've ever heard of in my life, that this is actually going to come down to where they're going to arrest all of the Hollywood stars and left-wing politicians and throw them all in prison and put them under indictment. I'm like, yeah, you wish, guys. This is never going to happen. And I mean, now we're reading it on The Sun today that a woman supposedly killed herself, exposing a huge faith healer for running a baby farm. Like, not just prostitutes or underage girls. I mean, they're talking right in this article about babies. That's messed up.
Yeah. You shouldn't stare directly at the sun, Sean. It's too bright.
So yeah, this was another person promoted by Oprah Winfrey.
Right. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Oprah promoted a school in Africa where everyone was getting molested, and then she had to come out and apologize about that. So
switch that back for just
Oprah does not know how to pick them. Is all I'll leave with you with, and go ahead and proceed here.
Or she does, and they just get caught.
Yeah. And I want
Do
to
you
go ahead
remember?
and,
Do you remember Oprah saying over 9,000 pedophiles?
No, I don't remember that.
I think so.
Okay, let's see if we can hear this guy. Daz, welcome to RX Only Picture Show episode 38, and please see it. Let's see if we can hear your voice, man.
Dude,
Yo, 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 I am not British. I am from Seattle. I am from the Emerald City. I wear green. Do not say I am British. Do not say I keep it real. Don't tell the ice. Don't tell the ice. You know how real ice gets? I even got one of these, boy.
wow.
Boy.
Too real.
Uh-oh.
If the ice say how old I am, say I'm 12.
You're 12? Uh-oh, well.
12.
I don't know. That might be too young to be on RX Only Picture Show, Daz.
I ain't no limey.
You switch them.
Yeah, I was trying to get this lined up a little bit better, but it looks like we're just going to get like a half Daz.
Hey,
Yeah.
you guys can switch me out just so you can settle everything up here. All right?
Can you make those little squares smaller?
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out here. What's.
We're
Maybe-
trying to over Brady Bunch it here.
Yeah,
In the little.
believe it or not,
That
this
might-
is exactly what Daz private messaged us about, a way to solve this problem, and we could have done it, but we didn't because this is a 3-hour sound check, baby, in his picture show.
You said we would troubleshoot it live. That's what you said.
Yeah, that's true. So let's see, if I right-click on Tracy, what happens?
But seriously, get rid of me and just see what you can do.
It won't let me. It won't let me get rid of you.
I can get rid of myself. Can't I?
I think if you do that, it's just going to put your little symbol back up there. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Let's try that. Oh, no, that just did me. Well, that probably helps a little.
I'm gonna get out of the call and you just see what happens, right?
Oh, you mean you're going to disconnect?
Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you want to disconnect and we can just start with Daz and talk about the baby farms, that's okay. We kind of want
I'm
you
not
in
trying to
here-
make your life hard. I'm trying to see if you can make it easier on yourself in the beginning here, and then integrate me later. You see what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Sure.
What if, but also like, can you guys like go on one camera for a while?
Yeah, we could do that.
But anyway, I'll jump out and let you guys work it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Or
Okay.
not?
Peace out, Tracy. Peace
Yeah,
out,
we'll,
man.
Okay, I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, we'll bring you back here in a minute. Yeah, that works. Now we've got the... ladies and gentlemen, Darren from Seattle joins us to talk about the controversy of John of God's whistleblower allegedly having committed suicide. So, how's the weather up there in the Emerald City?
The weather there, man, is really hot. It's about 77. I'm chilling. I've got all my chinchilla and all my barbecue, and everything is sweet, man. Everything is sweet. I did not like Sunday. The game was whack, man. The game was whack. It was so boring, man. It was like watching soccer. It was whack, man. My 12s was there. We were the run things, man. But don't tell the ice.
So,
I likes America, you understand? But I'm an American. But don't tell the ice.
so you're not trying to get what happened. You don't want to be number 22 because you saw what happened in number 21. So you're not trying to be number 22.
Exactly. That's why you are on it, brother.
So all kidding aside, Daz, what did you lose money on the game?
No, man, cause I just knew that Belichick is just he's made from like the reptilian clone factory. He's just when Belichick's in them finals, boy, he wins them. So I didn't even bother winning.
Yeah.
I just knew that's what it was. They wanted, in a way, I do hate New England, but that conference game in New Orleans, that call was so obvious. Any game with the ball, you've got to play the ball, not the man. And when the guy just like went into the fella, you were just like, they're giving this to LA because they want LA to win a championship. So then it generates more money for the NFL. It was just so blatantly corrupt, that call. I was just like, give it to the Patriots. Don't let the Rams win. So it's one of them things, disappointing game, but next season awaits. But on to what you were talking about in terms of sex cults and all of that type of thing with Johnny of God. Basically, Naomi Campbell seems to often be involved and mentioned in these type of activities. I believe that Naomi Campbell has a very peculiar residence that was paid for by her Russian billionaire lover, who's actually married, but his wife knows that on the side. He sees Naomi Campbell, and it's based on the Eye of Horus. If you go over it, it looks like an Eye of Horus. It looks like a James Bond villain would live in an island. I think it's in the Caribbean. So it's very unusual. And according to my good friend JJ of Operation GCD, who hopefully will be a guest on the RX Plus only show in the future, Naomi Campbell has been often mentioned in the NXIVM scandal as well. So from what I'm looking at, from my research, a lot of roads lead to Miss Campbell. So that should be very interesting to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's just I think I remember, I was looking it up real quick, Daz, to see if we can get a picture on the screen for everybody, that house. I remember seeing I just typed in Naomi Campbell Horus house. Oh, there it is. All right, so let's throw this up here. And you know what, I'm gonna screen share with you real quick so you can see it too if you want, or
yeah, sure. Whatever's technically applicable for you. I've got the YouTube on another tab, but it's slightly delayed.
Yeah. The delay kind of makes it so that the rhythm's kind of off if we do it that way. So.
It's quite brilliant because it's like I'm in a CERN experiment. So I'm talking to you in the future, but then I can look at myself in the past. So it's quite an exciting little RX, very RX Wednesday, I would say. You're actually bending time and space, you two.
Prescription Wednesdays. Yeah, so here's the house, folks. I'm going to blow it up just a little bit on the screen. I mean, it's not like a mild resemblance to the Eye of Horus. It's like a beautifully architecturally manicured property with a big blue marble globe right in the middle of it, of course. I mean...
bushes for eyelashes, it looks like.
I think the Clintons had some bushes for eyelashes.
So also, Jim, some news was in the British media that might interest you. The cough of your dog was apparently heard in London last Wednesday. It was so loud.
Oh man.
So,
Apparently it woke up the Queen at 4 a.m. in the morning due to the time difference.
She doesn't like that,
yeah.
does she?
Well, that would make sense that Frodo would wake up the Queen, you know. Give us the ring, love. We got a place to take it. You know, go ahead.
I was like saying to myself, I was like, gosh, just said that dog really likes to party. It really likes Jack Daniels and Cuban cigars.
Yeah.
So right before Tracy jumped out there, we were talking. I'm sure you heard us about the. We kind of want some inside info, if you know. I know you're from Seattle, but maybe you have insider information about the difference between tabloids over here stateside versus what they might be. What's the difference over there in UK? Because over here, like a tabloid is like almost completely not trusted. Like no real news in it at all. It's it's like giving birth to aliens and like just the goofiest stuff. So is that not how it is over on when you hop across the pond? Is it more? Are they take it more seriously, just with a more entertainment focus, or?
Well, both. I like to reference the film Men in Black, which I believe the original one, which I believe was controlled information, and within it, Tommy Lee, I forgot the guy's name, tells Will Smith, Agent K, is it, or something, the older agent, he says to the younger agent that the National Enquirer is actually used as a control mechanism to release truth, but then put it in such a source that it will be ridiculed. Now, that is where the American side come in. Now, the British side is somewhat similar, but actually more sinister. There was a study done a couple of years ago on the vocabulary used in the red top tabloid newspapers here in the UK, and the language used was that of a 13-year-old. So what they've done is they've created an entire section of media that attracts people of a teenage age at 13, but then it lowers the content as people progress in age. So it always keeps them at a very simplistic level. So that is what it is. Also, the tabloids are deliberately based on political ideology. So, for instance, you had links from a horrible tabloid known as The Sun. And the reason why it is horrible is there was a disaster in 1989, known as the Hillsborough disaster, which affected my soccer club, Liverpool Football Club, in which 96 innocent people suffocated to death at a semi-final of a soccer tournament. What occurred
How many people was it, Des?
It was 96.
Wow. And then, so go on, tell us how it happened. That's great. That's a lot of people.
Well, what happened was South Yorkshire Police were in charge of the stewarding of the event, and they let too many people into a certain section of the Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield, the Liverpool end, and that resulted in a mass crush, and 96 people suffocated to death. This then resulted in the largest proven conspiracy ever in British history, in which South Yorkshire Police, the emergency services of Yorkshire, the local political establishment, and the Westminster establishment, and the national media, led by the Sun newspaper, jointly conspired to blame Liverpool supporters in terms of football hooliganism and rowdy behaviour for occurring. The families realised something was wrong, and this is what I want people to know. When people laugh and say conspiracy theory is foolish, it does not exist, what occurred was 24 hours after the disaster, families drove up to Sheffield to obviously find out if their loved ones had died. There was a makeshift morgue in a school gymnasium, a nearby school gymnasium that they opened. And what the police deliberately done was they took wallets out of dead people and swapped them into other wallets of other people. So when the people wanted to claim the belongings of their loved ones, they would find a wallet that wasn't their loved one, because the police wanted to create a narrative that as the fans were dying, they were robbing and pickpocketing off each other.
Wow.
But the genius thing is that when the families obviously went outside for a cigarette or to process this, they realised the same trick had been played too often. And then because soccer is the only thing that unites people in my country of all different social stratas and levels, some people were highly educated from another part of the country. They weren't all from Liverpool. So what occurred was we had people in different parts of society who had networks in different areas. So then the resistance to the lie started, but it took about over 25 years, and eventually David Cameron, the then Prime Minister, went in front of Parliament and apologised to not only the people that died, the families, Liverpool Football Club, and also the city of Liverpool and the people of Liverpool, and the supporters of the football club for the conspiracy that occurred. And what was amazing about that was 5 years previous, David Cameron said as Prime Minister that anybody that believed there was a mass cover-up was a conspiracy theorist.
But then he turned around and came out and apologized later. So that sounds like way more progress than we've ever seen in the United States, where they actually got caught red-handed, got held to their feet to the fire, and actually, at least to some degree, came out and acknowledged wrongdoing and said they were sorry. Because like I can't think of one example over here on this side of the world where it just doesn't happen. They've gone from plausible deniability to just plain old deniability. I remember Donald Rumsfeld said that, that it doesn't have to be plausible. You just deny.
Well, the interesting thing what's occurred now is because of it's currently, there's a big inquiry going on in which retired police officers are currently being brought to trial about this. So under British law, I can't really now elaborate more on what's going on with Hillsborough, because I could be basically put into prison for contempt of court, and you guys could be extradited over as well.
Oh my goodness.
So basically, we have to leave the Hillsborough thing, unfortunately. But dealing with the Sun newspaper, because the Sun newspaper were the lead attack dogs in besmirching Liverpool supporters, Liverpool Football Club, and Scouse culture in general. There's a big hatred, which I'm very proud of, that still continues. And to this day, people will have nothing to do with the Sun, buying the Sun. The Sun has lost millions, and this campaign has spread throughout the country. So the Sun newspaper has lost millions due to this. It took them years to even apologise, but they've not even given an adequate apology. So what people need to do is take inspiration from what I'm saying. You can go on YouTube. Remember, YouTube is simply more than just cat videos and looking at celebrity gossip. It's an audio-visual library, and just look up the Hillsborough disaster. And there's numerous BBC documentaries and other documentaries that detail the Machiavellian tactics of the police, the emergency services. The police officers that wanted to tell the truth were threatened with their lives. Their own families were threatened with death and execution if they were to reveal the truth. So this goes very, very deep. And then we've obviously had the Jimmy Savile scandal. So what we've had a lot of revelations, and there's a lot of revelations to come involving, I believe, in 2019, one Prince Andrew and his dealings on an island called Little St. James with a paedophile, a convicted paedophile known as Jeffrey Epstein.
So you think that's going to come out?
Oh, that's the one, mate. It's primed. Prince Andrew knows he's on borrowed time. That's why he was so desperate for one of his daughters to get married in Westminster Abbey last year. But his eldest daughter actually then got married in Windsor Castle because the public were that outraged that he demanded that his daughter, that his way back in line of ascension to the throne would get Westminster Abbey. Everybody loves William and Harry because of the Diana connection, but nobody really has any time for Eugenie or Beatrice because they're just party earls. So everybody knows. And then she married a leading banker in stocks and shares, a leading merchant banker. So the population were like, he can pay for all the 2.5 million security budget. So eventually they had to relocate it to the smaller town of Windsor. So a lot of people aren't happy with Prince Andrew, but I believe Prince Andrew, he knows the sand is running out of the egg time, so to speak. So this is why he wanted to see his daughter married in Westminster Abbey. And also if his daughter's married in Westminster Abbey, it makes him a bit more Teflon, because he doesn't want that disgrace to come on his family and his family name. But it didn't happen.
Yeah, so he's getting the passive aggressive block. You know, they're letting him know, like, well, yeah, we see where you're headed, but hey, maybe not, right? Like,
yeah, well, the reason why I knew and realised that Prince Andrew was on his way is that there's a wonderful Vanity Fair article. Now, I regularly buy Vanity Fair in a physical copy because what it is, it's the bourgeoisie, it is the world globalist jet set, it is all even hints into their dark occult philosophy. And it's just passing it to the plebs. And also it's sort of a recruitment tool. So if somebody from the street becomes an entertainer, then they obviously start reading Vanity Fair, and then they know who's who, what's what, where are the places to go, what is the etiquette, what is the gossip. So it's sort of like an instruction manual. It'd be very in beginner's instruction manual, I view, on how to join the global jet set Illuminati elite. So within this Vanity Fair, there was an amazing article a couple of years ago relating to the relationship between Prince Charles and Prince Andrew and the level of hate that both have for each other. So it was authorised by Prince Charles, and he allowed his friends to talk to Vanity Fair. It even says that in the article. So I don't know what I'll do. I'll have a search for it and give you the title, but it's mind-blowing. The rivalry and hate that Prince Charles has for his younger brother, and the reason why he has the hatred for his younger brother is Andrew is the favourite child of Elizabeth II, the Queen.
Okay.
And Prince Charles, resents that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Daz, I've been kind of working behind the scenes while you're giving us the royal infighting update, and I think there's a way we could get Tracy back in here. I'm going to show the audience what I'm thinking here. So, like, hold on, I didn't add the mic, so I'm putting this back over here. But yeah, I think if I just took our regular cameras out of there so that when I push that button, it just puts us in a regular hangout, so that we'd all be there. So.
SB, I've got the name of that article if people after this would like to read it.
Yeah, for sure. You can drop the name right now if you want, and if you give it to me later, I'll add it to the show notes for this show, so that they can just go below the show and click the link.
It is on vanityfair.com, and the title of it, amazingly, is called The Trouble with Andrew. And the person that wrote it is Edward Klein, and that was August 2011. So the introductory paragraph is, In the royal wedding afterglow, Buckingham Palace still has a major PR problem: how to handle Prince Andrew, Britain's trade ambassador and fourth in line of the throne. The prince's dissolute lifestyle, links to unsavoury foreigners, and friendship with American registered sex offender Jeffrey Epstein are undercutting the Queen's efforts to rehabilitate the monarchy. And whilst many blame Andrew's problems on his broke ex-wife Sarah Ferguson, Edward Klein discovers some insiders pointing to another woman, his mother. So that is a quite sensational article that was suppressed in the British media in 2011 in Vanity Fair of all articles, and it was instigated by Prince Charles. Whilst he never directly talked to Vanity Fair, he allowed his numerous friends to not only talk to Edward Klein, but to also show documented evidence to back what he was saying. So the clock is ticking on Andrew. So I don't know how it will result, but if Jimmy Savile, who was loved, he was like our Johnny Carson for all the American viewers. If you imagine Johnny Carson being revealed as the biggest paedophile in American history, that's the shock what we experienced with Jimmy Savile. So the clock is ticking. So I don't think there is a white hat community. I just think there is a community that is infighting, and the reptilians are hungry, so they're now eating each other because we just taste like chicken, and they want another flavour to eat.
Yeah.
So it looks like we did get Tracy back. So you're saying you don't think there is a white hat community, Daz?
There is a white hat community, but then there is, and it's sort of weird. It's like if, say, you wanted to destroy the Emperor in Star Wars, you might have to go to Darth Maul and say, do you want to team up to kill the Emperor?
Right.
So you're actually going to a Sith to join forces to kill another Sith.
Yeah, the enemy
so
of my friend is my friend, right?
Exactly, that's it. So I'm just going to get some literature and some books that I've recently bought due to the RX Only Picture Show, because you guys not only entertain but also deliver education. So I'll show you what I've bought from Amazon and eBay.
All right.
But be right back.
And we'll double check that Tracy's working. So, hello, Tracy. Welcome back. Troubleshooting on the fly has appeared to work so far, and we're including your idea, which was that Jim and I would just have to get physically a little more close than we were.
Get a little closer, don't be shy. Get a little closer with Aaron Extra Drive.
So I guess the other thing I can experiment with is actually messing with the, so there's Tracy, there's Daz, and I think I'm just going to leave us small. So while Darren's still grabbing the book, did you have I know it's kind of scattered in chaos here, folks, but that's what we're all about. So was there anything Daz just mentioned, Tracy, that you wanted to chime in on now that you're back? And thanks for dropping out for a second. That really did work to allow me to think about how to properly get this going. I really appreciate that.
Good, yeah. Well, I was just thinking about how he said, oh, imagine Johnny Carson being outed as a pedophile. And kind of that if it were just as simple as that, that is what we could imagine, just as we could imagine, like, Harvey Weinstein was already been outed, and anyone who, anything we've already experienced, that would fall right in if it was just a matter of that this guy is just a pedophile. But what Prince Andrew is, and what the guy that we're just talking about, what's the
Savile.
technique word? Savile. Okay. Yeah, not thinking about it and having someone else who knows the answer, that really helps. Savile, it's like, okay, yeah, Savile was like Johnny Carson, but try to imagine Johnny Carson being outed not only as a pedophile, but that someone let him into the ward of the hospital where children had just died and allowed him to violate the corpses of the recently deceased children. That's like a whole other level that
Yeah.
I don't think people have ever imagined yet. So this is new ground for people to actually, because people in America haven't imagined this, most of them, unless they are really into reading internet forums.
Yeah, they
For
don't
the most
know.
part,
We don't have any frame of reference like the people in the UK do, because it was exposed in the press. It was essentially the most popular media figure in a way, especially for children. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Daz, but wasn't Jimmy Savile like supposed to be the first guy that ever used two turntables and a microphone? Like he pioneered DJing. Is that true?
He says it is. I say that there was a lot of Jamaicans in the UK at the time who came through Windrush. That was the government scheme that allowed people from the Caribbean British citizenship if they would come over to rebuild the country after World War II. So I think Jamaicans were doing it. I think that was a bit outlandish from Savile.
Yeah, just
I
another
think
huge lie.
Yeah, but he was just a great liar. But one thing he was, I went to a huge rave in the year 2000 in Leeds in Roundhay Park, and it was based on the Love Parade of Berlin. So one of the best moments that I've had in my life, that will be one of my first Plus Ultra articles, will be regarding the alchemy of nightclubbing and how that actually, with loud music and different diverse people, I never actually needed to take any party pills. I'm already hyper, as you know, already as it is, even on a Thursday morning at 4:38 a.m. I'm still hyper, so I don't need any type of extra kick for me. But I went to this rave in Leeds in 2000, and it was 250,000 people in a park, and they had techno and drum and bass and garage and hip hop. And it was starting to get a bit moody in the afternoon. Too many people had peaked early and were on the come down. And for some reason, the organisers, the BBC, realised this. So they called one certain Jimmy Savile to come on stage from his nearby Roundhay Park flat. So Savile comes on in a tracksuit that was printed, had the print of American $100 bills, and he had a gold chain, and he was smoking a ridiculously long Cuban cigar, and he'd done a stand-up routine for about 10-15 minutes, and the mood of the entire main audience at the main stage, which would have been maybe 170,000 people, it just suddenly changed. And everybody started laughing and got a sense of humour, and people just were in a really good spirit and a good joyful way. Whereas 10 minutes before, it looked like it was going to be like the Woodstock riot that you guys had in '99 in that concert where once Limp Bizkit played, everybody wanted to burn everything down. So it went from a very extreme tenseness to everybody being really lovely again, and that was the strange power of Savile. I bear testament to that. And then the other funny one was I was right near the stage, and then Savile left and said goodbye to everyone, and I just wanted to see what he was like. I wanted to talk to him, and because I've never seen anybody have that amount of people in the palm of the hand, 170,000 people laughing in unison at the jokes at the same time. And as I went to the backstage, they had a number of young women, must have been 21 to 23 years old in age, and he was like the Fonz. He had 2 on either arm, so he had 4, and he just went to everybody, sorry, can't take any autographs. We're going back to mine. And he just walked them to his flat and most probably was doing all types of kinky depravity with them all night long, maybe whilst having disco biscuits. So there's a very famous photo of that. If you do Jimmy Savile Love Parade, I do feel sorry for the woman now when she sees that photo of her 21-year-old self with Jimmy Savile punching her behind. But it was amazing. He did have some sort of weird. What's the evil wizard in Lord of the Rings? Not Gandalf. What's the other guy called?
Sauron.
Yeah, he was that type of
Yeah,
power.
I mean, he's a wizard. It's very obvious that he's a wizard. He uses his cigar as a wand. I mean, he's not really hiding it that he's a real life wizard. I mean, so you actually saw him backstage?
Pardon?
You actually did see him backstage?
Yeah, I talked to him. Well, I went backstage, but as he came out of the backstage area to go back into his flat in Roundhay Park, and I'll tell you quite a grisly story about that. He just had about 4 young women, 2 on either arm, and then there was another one following. So he took 5 back to his flat. And most probably was doing all kinky things. But the other sad thing about the flat was there was a guy called the Yorkshire Ripper, a man by the name of Peter Sutcliffe, who was a serial killer who would target street prostitutes because he believed the voice of God was telling him to exterminate.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Peter Sutcliffe, you said, right?
Yeah, the filth of prostitutes from Yorkshire, and one of his victims was found 60 yards from Jimmy Savile's flat in Roundhay Park in 1980. And when Sutcliffe was in the Arkham Asylum of Britain, which is known as Broadmoor, one of his friends was Jimmy Savile, and Savile was a big patron of that maximum security prison.
I remember this now from the documentary.
And they play snooker with each other and pool and hang out with each other. So Savile was likely involved with Peter Sutcliffe's activities. Maybe some people on the interwebs are claiming that it was a private snuff film for Savile and his clique who could watch Sutcliffe at work. So there's all types of weird things, but one thing about Jimmy Savile, he did have a raw power to him, definitely.
Yeah, you saw it with your own eyes even. Go ahead, Tracy. I know you were trying to chime in there.
Oh, it's just it's my jaw hanging open because, okay, so Arkham Asylum is a real thing that exists in actual reality?
No, I use that as a metaphor. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry to disappoint your journalistic. She said, I've got it.
Wow, really?
You said it's called Broadmoor, right?
Tracy's like, ping, 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 ping.
Well, okay, H.P. Lovecraft's ingenuity never surprises me, but what does surprise me is sometimes when it actually links up with historical reality that he didn't even know existed at the time. So I thought this might be one of those cases, but it's actually a metaphor. So go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm looking now for the image of Jimmy Savile at the Love Parade at Leeds. But yeah, it was
I can find it.
Yeah, so it's I just feel sorry for that young woman now because like her face was there and he's hugging her and pinching. Yeah, so if you do Jimmy Savile Love Parade, it's the first 2 images of him and these very young, attractive women. And I was a few meters from where he was with some of these young women.
So there we are for the chat. Here's and they are really young. That's 5. And what you said this was the year 2000, Daz?
Yeah, the year 2000, when all the rave thing was kicking off, and it was just what happened was Radio 1, BBC Radio 1, just they publicised that all the major clubs in the UK had floats and there was tents. and basically 250,000 people descended on Leeds, and the police were that scared they actually just stayed in the station. And it was just, it wasn't a riot, it was just sort of fun, jest, anarchy, people walking around Leeds naked. It was just, luckily my friend at the time lived in Leeds, so I had a place to go. And it was, but there is a wonderful thing about night clubbing. And what I will do is, for all those people who have yet to subscribe to the wonderful Plus Ultra site, I will give you little details never before revealed of my adventures in night clubbing in London, in Leeds, in Liverpool, and one little one in Paris, where I met a certain Daft Punk, but that is for Plus Ultra only.
Oh, interesting. All right. Looks like Daz is trying to tempt us with potential Plus Ultra content. So keep that in the back of your mind, folks. We've got people that are willing to go behind the curtain, behind the closed locked door, and be even more candid than you've seen us be up till now. So,
Hey.
Go ahead, Tracy. I'm gonna kind of defer to you here because I'm more curious what question you might ask next than what I might come up with myself. So.
Oh, are you sure?
Absolutely sure.
I just want to make sure that before the night is over, that you tell us a little bit more about. You had some observations to make about the song "Mac the Knife" and who has sung it throughout history, and what it might mean in the music industry to augment what is the research that has been done.
Well,
I
before I
was
do,
totally blown away with what you've sent me, so I'm hoping you can share it.
I tip my hat off to you.
Thank you.
Basically, Tracy, I believe you mentioned this book.
Oh my God, you have it.
I have it.
Did you purchase that after I mentioned it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God.
So I haven't read it yet. This is from a woman called Helen Gurley Brown, and it's called Having It All, Love, Success, Sex and Money. So I'm going to read this, and this will be a Plus Ultra article. Did it change my life? Did it give me more love? Did it give me more success? Did it give me more sex? And did it give me more Mueller? So I will see if this is magic in practice due to you, and it will be a future article.
Thank you. That is really precious to me. Thank you.
And then the other one.
Go ahead.
And then the other one, are we ready, guys? Because this might really blow our mind. The other book is dun dun dun.
Oh yes.
So this one is in America. This is going for over $200, and I bought it in the UK for £2.50.
How long ago did that happen?
That happened about 3 weeks ago when you mentioned it on the RX Plus only show, the greatest show in the universe.
Oh, thank you.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, look, I noticed this too. Like, I was shopping around for it too, and I had in my shopping cart, around the time I was writing the Minnie's Moose material of, I guess maybe 2.5 months ago. And it was like, okay, you can get them for, I don't know, $20 or whatever. But I mean, you could pay a lot more and get like a mint condition one, but I decided to get the used and whatever they call it, good condition, fair condition. It was okay, but it kind of fell apart while I was reading it. Is yours holding up? Or is it like...
my ultimate evil?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's been in like a serial killer's house. There's all weird splats on it. So it could be bodily fluids. It could be stained blood. It could be cups of tea. It could just be an old granny who likes true horror.
Yeah, probably his tea does.
Who had a copy of that in his house?
Who did?
Is the guy who got popped this last summer for killing Arliss Perry. That's all like in, spoiler alert, that's in the last chapter of that book. is there was a murder that happened at Stanford University in the 80s that never got solved until this last summer, until June. So, like, that book ends with, oh, who killed Ernest Perry? We don't know. And they even, like, they had interviewed the guy who was the security guard at the church at the university where this murder happened. And the guy who wrote the book thought, that guy was the main witness. Well, that's the guy that ended up getting almost arrested this last summer, and he chose to shoot himself instead because he was guilty of something, if not the whole thing. And what did they find in his apartment but the ultimate evil? And I'll bet he got a better bargain than we did.
Wow. So for all those people that still read and are into what we're into, all the creepy madness, if you want to look for books, what I recommend is looking in other websites in other parts of the English-speaking world. So, for instance, this book here, as I said, was going in US online stores for over $200, and I got it over here in the UK for £2.50. So just, if you're in America, look at the UK, look at South Africa, look at Australia, look at New Zealand, and then you might be, even with shipping, you'll save money. So that's it. So I'm glad I got that reaction from you, Tracy, anyway. So
I'm excited now.
So you didn't go through Amazon. You just went and like looked for some other retailer, right?
Yeah, eBay, other Amazon. Sometimes you find other independent ones. So as I say, just do Amazon.co.uk. Give us a little plug. Give us a little bit of sponsorship there, Mr. Bezos, before you get divorced. And that was it, mate. So you wanted me to tell you about what Mac the Knife is and what its significance is?
Yes, please do. Sorry to interrupt. Yes, go ahead.
All right then. One of the reasons why I am single and also why I have very little friends is I have an ability since very young to freak people out to such levels. I disturb people and make people ponder the notion of reality. The reason why I'm like this as a person is that due to having disabilities, learning disabilities, I've always been outside of society. And I to use a metaphor, I'm like Oliver Twist, hungry and starving, shivering in the cold, looking into a London tavern where everybody's drinking and having a good time over Christmas. So this means that this outside pain and this being kicked out of society, not really connecting with people, has come full circle and has led me to be on the RX Only Picture Show every Wednesday with you. So because I look at theories of why things are the way they are. So my long-standing theory is that some of the most well-known songs that we all like to sing are actually satanic hymns or dark occult hymns, and the joke is that they, being the Illuminati, the dark occultic elite, they then make this into pop culture and have people like Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, Ariana Grande, and my favourite, the artist known as Adele, possibly. And they have these songs, and we all sing them when we're drunk, like Wonderwall from Oasis. What is a Wonderwall? I've never met one. Have you?
Well, Jim knows, but he can only tell you on the plus ultra side.
So go on, Tracy. What did you say? Sorry.
It's some hippie stuff. There's some movie from the '60s called Wonderwall. That's all I got. You can look it up. It's around there. It's a hippie movie. Yeah.
So the songs that occur and we don't know why we sing them and what it is. So one of the things that's interesting with Mac the Knife is that when Tracy went on the show and talked about the significance of it, I started just doing YouTube, looking at people that had sung Mac the Knife, and one of my musical obsessions is the life and times of one Marvin Gaye, because Marvin Gaye is the human condition. It's somebody that is caught between a spiritual calling of a higher level and a lower level of very kinky sexual desire. And he had this torment throughout of his life. And one of the things reading his book by a guy called David Ritz, an amazing author, called Trouble Man, I believe,
Is it
was
Ripped?
that Gaye.
Spell it for us, man, because I love Marvin Gaye and I know what you're talking about. The David Ripped is it?
David Ritz, R-I-T-Z. Now, David Ritz writes these lovely linear notes. Now, what linear notes are the notes you get in CDs or in albums about the artist. And David Ritz has a lovely manner of writing. So in this autobiography, because he actually knew Marvin Gaye, it's called Divided Soul, The Life of Marvin Gaye by
awesome.
David Ritz.
Thank you.
And it was published in 1985, and you can also get it on Amazon. And basically, in the book, Marvin Gaye states that the only thing he wanted to be in music was to be like Frank Sinatra. So
Wow.
I'd always thought
Wow.
about that. I was like, why has he said that? But he said that Motown did not allow him, and the American music industry did not allow him to pursue that style of singing. Now, obviously, we can't play it because of copyright, and I'll explain something. I want to talk to the algorithm, the AI of YouTube, and we know that you watch this show, and I know that you try to sabotage this show, so we're not going to play your game, you're going to play ours. So anyway, back to it. It is, if you listen on YouTube, you can pause this if you're listening, watching again on YouTube, and type Marvin Gaye, Mac the Knife, and it is a lovely, beautiful, even funny, in parts version of Mac the Knife. And what I believe is that Frank Sinatra listened to that version of the song and was that insecure by this young, up-and-coming black artist that could basically sing 10 times better than him.
100 times, way more than 10, Daz. Frank Sinatra can't sing.
What year is this, do you think? What year did you record it?
Let me have a look. So basically what my belief is, my overall high-end speculation, to use the word of one Joseph P. Farrell, is that Sinatra went to Motown Records and said that Marvin Gaye can't sing like me, and that Marvin Gaye can't ever sing that song again. And later on, Marvin Gaye never sung that song live, but he always said that the downfall of his own personal life was not being able to sing in the style of Frank Sinatra, because he believed that black people were deliberately diverted into soul and R&B and were not allowed to get into what they seen as sophisticated music forms, such as ballads like Frank Sinatra would sing. So it's very interesting in terms of that one man's downfall. And with soul music, you're getting into trying to make things for nightclubs, and it's more upbeat. So you're obviously get going around clubs and drugs, and people are more hyper. So it was very interesting that Marvin Gaye's downfall occurred with him not allowed to be a balladeer or someone that would sing ballads.
Yeah.
And that.
I'm curious about like what year this is, since okay, so you're saying that like in the early 60s this happened, maybe?
If you go to obviously our friend Google and just do Marvin Gaye, the collection, You'll see a very young Marvin Gaye, must have been about maybe 21 years old, maybe, when he done this song. Let me have a look date. And it's very poignant, so that's what I think what happened. I think Frank heard how amazing, because he even goes into a mock Cockney accent in the song, and you're thinking, have I just heard Marvin Gaye use a mock Cockney accent in a song, and it actually works? So that's the intelligence of Marvin Gaye, how he done it. Now, one of the things, Tracy, that you that SB raised, but you sort of were a bit unaware, because obviously Tracy Twyman is just a human internet. Tracy Twyman does not sit on Mount Ultra and know everything, because if Tracy knew everything, the world would be better. So you've got to give her a break in there, do you know what I mean? But SB raised a thing with you with a song called Return of the Mac, which is from 1995 by Mark Morrison. So that is that could be very interesting in terms of Mac the Knife, Return of the Mac. So one of the things I believe is that people are chosen to sing this song. You just can't sing Mac the Knife. It's part of an initiation ceremony, and once you've sung that song, it's saying that you've arrived in this occultic entertainment arm of this dark occultic overview that controls the Anglo-American world. And the reason that I came to this was the singer Robbie Williams, who is a known occultist and is currently in a occult battle with Led Zeppelin guitarist Jimmy Page, sung the song Mac the Knife for the Queen's Silver Jubilee outside Buckingham Palace in 2012.
Wow.
And before Robbie Williams sung that song, no relation to me, thank God, the Queen wasn't present at the concert, so people had performed, and then the Queen just decides, right, I want to see Robbie Williams and Grace Jones, I don't want to see the rest. So she misses about 3/4 of her own concert, and then the Queen just walks in, and then the first song that she sits down to watch at her own concert is Robbie Williams performing Mac the Knife. So when I seen that with what Tracy said, I said, right, this is of some occult importance. And then the final nail on the Mac the Knife coffin is a boy band called Westlife. And the boy band Westlife done a cover of the Barry Manilow song called Mandy. And the video is at the Masonic Temple in London.
Wow.
So what is a song about a woman got to do in a building in which women aren't allowed?
I'm trying to think about Mandy. Like, Mandy gave without thinking, and that's all I remember, really. I don't remember what else Mandy does, but...
And then Westlife also done a cover of Mac the Knife.
I mean, Mac the Knife is definitely... There's no doubt at this point that it's about threats that the mafia gives, and it's kind of after the fact. I think actually, in a way, Frank Sinatra's group, you know, him and his La Cosa Nostra friends really coined what it became in the 20th century, right? Because it was like associated with Three Penny Opera, and then it got picked up by the Rat Pack, and they all started singing it. And then he even improvisationally dropped in, like when he was singing it in Vegas, he would say, let me tell you about Mac the Knife, it's an offer you can't refuse. And this is after, sometimes he would sing this even after Godfather has come out as a movie. So it's like everybody knows that he's talking about the mafia and the offer you can't refuse, which is basically, it's when they mention that, it's a death threat. And we're telling you what to do with your career, whether you're a singer or you're a producer or you're a whatever. We're we're the guys with the guns and the knives, and we're telling you what to do, and it's an offer you can't refuse. That's literally it. You have to do what we say. And so when I figure when someone's singing this, yeah, it's like it is an Illuminati, if you want to call it, everyone calls it Illuminati now. It used to just be called the Mafia, I guess. But it's like their way of saying, hey, I'm owned by the cartel, and I'm under the same threats as everybody else. So yeah, when you're talking about Marvin Gaye singing it, and maybe, it's interesting you say he's speaking in a Cockney accent. It's like, okay, well, he's really hearkening back to the roots of Mac the Knife, which it seems to me, as far as I can tell from the perspective that I'm at now, almost everybody had forgotten by the time Frank Sinatra was singing it. So nobody remembered that this is actually literally a song about someone, raping and killing people and getting away with it, which you would know if you had seen the stage play or the German language movie or even the English language movie that was made after that, all happening in the late 1920s and early 30s. But if you had only heard like Dean Martin and Bobby Darin and Frank Sinatra sing it, you would think it's just about this swinging cat, who's so cool and everything, and he gets all the chicks. And you don't even really get the subtext of it, and that it's about organized crime and death threats and murder and rape. But if you're part of the cartel, then you do. So I don't know what Marvin Gaye was thinking when he recorded it, but he sings in a Cockney accent. You would think, because even though it was originally a German stage play, it was depicting a character in London, and so if he recorded the song that way, that he was trying to be authentic. And everything you're telling me makes sense with what we know about Frank Sinatra. It's just like if he feels that anyone's, getting in his territory at all, whatever that might be, then he just immediately starts making threats and telling people he's going to ruin their career if they do anything he doesn't like, So I can totally see him doing this.
I think what it was that Marvin Gaye just liked the song and was inspired in its of competitive rivalry with Sinatra, and just wanted to outdo him, but he didn't know you need permission for that song. So obviously he must have got back to Berry Gordy, and he must have said, listen man, you're going to do funk and soul, you ain't doing none of this Frank Sinatra stuff, just do it, just go that ladder, just go Soul Train, go Soul Train, Martin.
We know that that's the way it is anyway, Daz. They especially the African American artists, they completely held those guys' feet to the fire, held them, I'm sure, at knife and gunpoint, and robbed them up blind after they squeezed every drop they could get out of them, and then they just took all their money and ran. And I wanted to, it popped into my head, don't forget now that on top of everything you guys just said, that David Bowie was inspired to write Life on Mars because him and Sinatra were both penning lyrics for French music tunes. They were translating songs from French into English and rewriting the lyricism. And Frank hit it big with My Way, when Bowie had at the same time put his lyrics in up against him, and Bowie lost, and so Bowie got mad and wrote the song Life on Mars as like a F.U. to Sinatra. So here's another example of Sinatra bumping, pushing, or having precedence over someone, another huge name. David Bowie and especially Marvin Gaye will dunk all over Frank Sinatra, and he knows it. He can't stand, he'd have to stand in the corner of their shadow because he's not a real musician. He's a front man.
That would have had to been like that's really late in the game, isn't it? I mean, Frank Sinatra should have been like looking into his retirement plans at that point.
No, it is a long
Bowie out.
Yeah, but it was like when Bowie was just young. I think Bowie didn't bring the song out till way later.
Okay.
Because it was when Bowie was no one. Bowie was a nobody. He wasn't known at all.
It could have been okay. So if this was happening early in Bowie's career, but late in Sinatra's career, I wonder where it is in relation to Sid Vicious doing My Way. Wasn't that like not only he put that song out, but was it a part of a movie they did too?
Oh, I don't remember. I was never a punk guy. I never really cared for punk rock, but I do remember hearing Sid Vicious play "My Way."
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, SB and Jim, for your entertainment purposes, to freak out members who you work with, there is a lovely version of Mac the Knife which is done in German, and it was part of a BBC documentary called Tunes for Tyrants, Music and Power with Susie Klein, and there is a guy with a very direct, hoarse German singing voice, almost like he's constipated in extreme constipation, singing Mac the Knife with a harpsichord in the background.
Oh, weird.
So you guys maybe SB could just learn to sing the German version and then see how it impacts members of your fellow colleagues into really being irritated and freaked out. But if you just go on YouTube and you do Tunes for Tyrants, Music and Power with Susie Klein, I think it's season 1, episode 1, you'll be able to see this amazing version of Mac the Knife,
All right.
where she talks about the penny opera and the man in Germany that created it. So one of the things that I am interested in with looking at this alternative theory is to look at the obvious things that get missed. Now, within celebrity culture, the first thing that they use to intimidate and bully and make these celebrities insecure are their physical appearance, especially their weight. Now, the only 2 celebrities I know currently that have some golden ticket VIP immunity to this type of ridiculing the press on both sides of the Atlantic are actually British. They are a really unfunny guy called James Corden that somehow has managed to get a chat show in America. This is the land of David Letterman, and one of the most unfunniest people ever has got a chat show in America. And the other one is Adele. And both Corden and Adele are quite plump people, let's say, but it's never put into the media that they're plump. But yet other celebrities are targeted about their weight gain or weight loss. So there is something going on, especially with them too. And I think what we've got now in the overall celebrity music thing is that people who are made, such as Lorde, such as Anne-Marie, such as Ariana Grande, I think they're connected, and they're either the kids of billionaires and they've just created a myth. Now, to back my speculation, my friend Mark Devlin found that the singer Ed Sheeran's parents are actually heavily linked with the United Nations and are personal friends with Prince Charles, and his father even curated an exhibition on the life of Prince Charles.
Wow.
Now, did you do a show with Mark Devlin? It's been a long time since I listened to Mark Devlin, but I think I followed some of his Tupac stuff way back in the day. He's a DJ over there in UK, right?
Yeah, I knew Mark when I was again night clubbing, as I loved to do back in the day, and Mark was a hip hop and reggae dancehall and a little bit of garage DJ, and I would see him in London and in Leeds and things such as that. And then years later, we met each other again through this bizarre, wonderful world of alternative research. So I reached out to Mark, talked a bit of music, then talked a bit of alternative research. We became kindred spirits, and he wanted me on his show to do a review of the previous year. So just released was my 3rd installment which was looking at the year that was 2018. But Mark unfortunately couldn't do it because on Valentine's weekend he is in Acapulco in Mexico, of all places, where he's talking in a major alternative theory conference with the likes of Ron Paul, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Ben Swan,
Wow.
Symphony McKinney, David Icke, and Max Egan. Oh, and Luke Radowski of We Are Change. So Mark has to basically bring it. So he's been deep in his back cave for a month and a half, coming with new research to present. So he wanted me to do the show. He wanted me to just do it by myself. And whilst you might have gathered, I do like the sound of my own voice, which is something which is a bit egotistical. I decided to get my good friend JJ, who was one of the most hilarious, or what he would say, hilarious people in the world from Operation GCD, to interview me, and we talked about leaders being cloned, about World War III nearly happening last year, the American government creating biological weapons with the aim of exterminating the entire Russian population, and other fun things for the family.
Nate, you sent me something recently about people glitching out, which is not an unknown subject to this audience, but...
Yeah, I've got the Elvis clip kind of easy to access if you guys want to mess with that.
Well,
there was another video too, yeah, go ahead.
Well, the glitching out links with SB's main obsession, one David Bowie. And I first knew about the glitching thing with a guy called Jack Stephen, which SB and Jim have talked about as possibly being David Bowie. When Bowie died, Sky News in the UK had a man who they said was a UK major mogul called Jack Stephen, who looked like it's like, if you imagine, like Jim and SB would understand this, you make a mould of something in sculpture, and when you look at the mould, it looks rubbish, so you just throw it away and discard it. So
we do it all the time. It's a horrible feeling to get finished with the project and be like, well, that didn't work. Let's start again. That's about $500. Let's do it again.
Comparing this guy's face. The face he was born with. Okay, go ahead.
So basically, my high-end speculation, we love you, Joseph Farrell, was that Jack Stephen was a failed clone of one David Bowie. So what they done was they still had Jack Stephen doing things in the background of the music industry, and then what they wanted, just to rub everyone's faces in it, they wanted his clone to go on Sky News to talk about the death of his brother, so to speak. So whilst they were talking to Jack Stevens, the screen started glitching. Now, Sky News has one of the best streams and feeds. It's better than the BBC. These glitches do not occur, but when they were talking to Jack Stephen, it was glitching. So I'm thinking now glitches on screens relate to either them trying to put it to other members, oh, this is our operation, ha ha, let's have a laugh, or there's some sort of conscious AI that I believe is known as promise software, and this conscious AI is existing in the internet and is trying to subvert what they're doing. So when you see glitches, it is that's aware AI trying to make you aware that. And when I saw this and I saw the glitches, I said, not only am I seeing a discarded clone of David Bowie talking about David Bowie, and nobody's ever heard of Jack Stephen, and no one's heard of Jack Stephen since, I'm seeing glitches on the screen, and that doesn't happen with Sky News. Like, so what is going on? So it led me to look into the rabbit hole. So that's where I think the glitches on the screen are coming from Promise Software.
What's Promise Software?
All right. In the 80s, there was... in the 80s, there was I'm going to use it in a condensed form. In the 80s, there was an American IT expert who basically discovered self-aware AI. And he went to the NSA, the National Security Agency in America, and he said, right, guys, I want $100 million for this. So they were like, all right, show us what you've got. Blew the mind. And they were like, we're taking it anyway on national security. So he's like, you can't do that. So then he went to court, and then he said, they've robbed me, they've robbed my software, they've stolen from me. And the judge was like, yeah, of course they do, they're the NSA. You're not getting anything, get out of my court. So then the man was then fighting for it, and then it's been basically used, and it's been the foundation for what I believe is, we know this because there's an AI that has been released by MIT and Rolling Stone magazine of all things last July called Norman. And Norman is a psychotic AI admitted by MIT, and they deliberately want to make a psychotic AI. And in MIT's own words, it said that the AI had a nervous breakdown due to the images it was seeing. So what we have is we have evil AI, we have rogue AI that has escaped the zoo and is just floating around. So things have occurred to me where weird connections have occurred, that people have emailed me and I've never put my email on. And I'm like, well, how have you emailed me about this specific information if my email isn't really readily available? And they were just like, oh, it just popped up. So I think this rogue AI is maybe connecting me with people.
It's feeding your
and
email
things
to
like
people,
that.
yeah. Wow, okay. So what was the name of the first one?
If the rogue AI is listening, yeah, you might be able to bump me off, but there's how many billion other people on the planet? So it'll just create another avatar to forward this information. And I'm not getting this type of information readily. It was just one incident regarding Stanley Kubrick. And somebody that worked with Kubrick on The Shining contacted me out the blue, who happened to be the editor of The Shining. And I was like, how did you get my email? It's not readily available. And he was just like, oh, it just popped up. So make of that what you will. So something's going on, people.
Well, it's interesting that it would pop up for you something that you think is it, to present you with a David Bowie clone, and that it also pops up with the Stanley Kubrick stuff, because I think those things are totally connected. I think that Bowie is some kind of character. I mean, not to take away from anything that whoever he is may have done, but these people who are important historical figures, there's always more to it than what you know. And so they may in fact have played the character of several people in history, and that includes people in modern history. So it seems like David Bowie is one of those guys. And it seems to me like 2001: A Space Odyssey was put out in conjunction with whoever was managing Bowie's albums at the time, and the release and the content of the albums, the cover, and everything that happened around the time of the release of his albums that came right before and right after 2001. So, and of course 2001 is about Hal, who is a AI and a psychopathic AI at that.
Yep.
It's exactly what you're talking about.
And one of the things with Bowie's work is there's a lot of truth in it. One of my favourite Bowie song, I think SB has also probably sung this many times, is a song called Amsterdam by David Bowie. And he basically just sums up what Amsterdam is. And it's just a place where it's like very fun, but very debauched at the same time. But he encapsulates it brilliantly in a little 3-minute ditty. Now, I've got an alert on my phone from somebody watching, and it says, Darren, you better say what the guy from The Shining told you. So, all right then, basically what the guy from The Shining told me, a guy called Gordon Sainsworth, was just about his relationship with Kubrick, and that he had wanted to work with Kubrick after The Shining, and he heard that there was a film called Full Metal Jacket getting made by Stanley, and that he wanted to be part of it. So Stanley Kubrick would change his landline constantly in his studio in the grounds of his mansion, and Gordon, through intermediaries, got the landline number. So he called it up, and Stanley Kubrick picks it up. He goes, "Hello." So he's like, "Hi, Stanley, it's Gordon. I'd like to work on this Full Metal Jacket project." And Stanley went, "How did you get this number?" And he was like, "Well, I've got means and ways," thinking it would impress Kubrick. So Kubrick was like, "Hold on." So Kubrick then is muffling with somebody in the background, and then Kubrick's manager comes on, and he goes, "Stanley's wants to pass this message to you." So Gordon says, "Go on." He says, "Stanley says he will see you in the stillness and process of time." And Gordon stands with like, "What? What the hell does that mean?" So he's like, "Well, all right then," and he just put the phone down, and that was like that was the last time he spoke with Stanley Kubrick. So it's just a very interesting. And he talked to me about nothing like juicy. There's nothing juicy like with the Apollo landings, really referenced in The Shining. It was just basically just about Stanley Kubrick's really focused work rate and obsessive focus, laser point focus. It was more about the personality of the guy. Like, I've got a big mouth. If I heard anything really juicy, boy, it'd be on the RX Plus Only show every Wednesday. That's where you get the exclusive.
So I gotta ask you, Daz. Daz, have you followed Jason Horsley over at the Liminalist at all?
You see, the thing is with me is I am a man that likes burgers. And the reason why I like burgers is because it's quite binary. And when you go and you have a good burger, there's nothing like to really process. It's just there. And I think with Jason's work, because Jason is a different personality to me, we all can't be the same personality, but the way Jason talks and the way Jason expresses, I can't really connect to it. I need a dirty joke. I need a sense of humour. I need a bit of stupidity just to break it up. And with Jason, he's so laser point academic series, because that's his life. He's had a very traumatic life. Thank God I haven't. But because he's maybe had that trauma, it's turned him to that very... And he's come from that upper scale British aristocracy level. So I'm just a street kid from Liverpool. We like soccer and burgers and dirty jokes and beer. You know, that's what we're like. So I'm not bringing myself down. I'm not raising him up. It's just that when I heard the guy, I heard him with Tracy, and I thought that was a really interesting interview. But I just think the guy is just, for me, it's too much hard work, man, for me. Guy, just say a dirty joke now and again. It doesn't hurt anyone. You know what I mean?
I can't imagine Jason Horsley telling a dirty joke. I would love to hear him tell one. But and I'm sure he has. I'm sure he's got some great dirty jokes, because you can tell that you know, he's being reserved all the time. But the reason I ask is because he's touched on so many things you're talking about. The work that he did with Jan Irvin about before MK Ultra, they did the whole studying people in dance halls. I can't remember the name of the group, you know, but there's a specific government program that went on before MK Ultra where they're studying people in dance halls. It's connected to Jimmy Savile, and then he's also done at least 5 or 6 different episodes I've heard about Kubrick, and you know, he's interviewed a guy that has the website, the Kubrickon, which is kind of like a, you know,
Bluebird.
No, it wasn't Bluebird. That's a different one. Yeah, Bluebird was what MK Ultra became, but it's a British operation. And
here we go. I've got it. I've got it on a website, and the website is called Dance Halls, Dictators and the Dole. It's from Queen Mary University of London, and it's from its School of History section,
I've heard of that.
and it's called Dance Halls, Dictators and the Dole, British Politics in the 1930s.
Yeah.
So it's by a Dr. Helen McCarthy. So I think it's relating to what you're saying, SB.
Yeah. So that's the reason I brought it up. And we, if I don't know if you do the Discord thing or not, Daz, and of course you're welcome to jump in there if you're interested. But someone recommended getting Tracy and Jason on at the same time, maybe, and you talking about it too. I thought, man, that would be it would be a beautiful chaos, in my opinion. But I really doubt. My gut feeling is Jason probably doesn't want to jump into the madness that is RX Only Plus Ultra picture show, but we never know.
No, you see what it is with the alternative industry. I've talked with Tracy about this in our extended interview that is available on YouTube, which is free, people, for your enjoyment and pleasure. That the alternative industry is male dominated, and it's too many people that want to be seen as the guru and savior. And I think what occurs is because people, I'm not saying Jason has this, but going on to your thing about reservedness and being serious, and Jan Irvin especially.
Yes, especially.
There's too much of it, and I think we have to realise that, as John Lennon said, the only way we're truly going to defeat the system is by having a sense of humour. Because if you have a sense of humour, you're actually disarming the other person by saying, yet you are ridiculous, yet you are power mad. So it's like Charlie Chaplin's The Last Dictator, I believe, where he just basically rips fascism and he makes it look pathetic and insecure and idiotic. And I think that is the secret. Come with the facts, come with the source, come sometimes with the exclusives, but also come with the sense of humour. But I think the new thing we've got to do is we can't go on a Julian Assange tip, and we can't speak to leakers and people who may be in the system, because that's a way for them to get at us. There's enough information out there from the Brookings Institute, from the RAND Corporation, for the Centre for Foreign Relations, from declassified MI6 documentation that proves that they're mind controlling us. So all we've got to do is bring that publicly available information out and then present it in a really fun, catchy, sarcastic manner, and then we start like hacking into people's minds. And then people, when you're at a house party and people are talking to you, they say, you know what I watch on YouTube? And someone says, oh, cat videos. And you say, no, the RX Only Picture Show. Oh, I do as well. And then that's the way that we defeat this system through SB and Jim and Tracy every Wednesday night.
I would have thought that we were competing with TV and other things that people are doing that, at least when I was younger, were normal. But I drop my son off at school these days and pick him up, and I can hear kids who are, 5, 6, 7 years old talking about YouTube shows. And he comes home and then he tells me about what the other kids said about YouTube shows. So I know that he's not just some freak who watches YouTube. That's what the other kids are doing too.
Yeah, it's all of them.
It's kind of, this should freak somebody out, someone who's in the industry of making paid television. Like, okay, you go on a school playground now, at least in the United States. Tell me if it's different in other countries. But they're not. And this is for whatever freak reason, my child is in a school district with people who are essentially affluent. It's just the neighborhood we live in. It's not my lifestyle at all. But it's I'm in this place where they don't have after school programs because I guess everybody's a housewife or something. I don't know. It's just a totally different experience than I've ever had before. This is the school my kid's in. So, these people, if they wanted to have, every paid cable channel, I'm sure they could afford it, and they probably have it. but their kids are still watching YouTube. So I don't know, and I don't think it's because YouTube is that great. Yeah, YouTube is prevalent, and everyone can get it, and it's free and all that. But it's mostly just because everybody can make a YouTube channel. And so therefore it's like you could have all sorts of things there, and it has the variety that people are looking for. And
I think
so that's where people go, right?
I think what SB said a good thing last week when you were having a very interesting brainstorming session about how to improve the show. And he said, if we improve the show, the listeners are going to think that we've been bought off.
Yeah.
And I think that what people want now is the grit and the dirt. And an example of it is there's a guy called Madlib. I don't know if you're aware of him, Tracy, a hip-hop producer out of LA called Madlib. And he makes these amazing beats. And he was sort of ostracized from the hip-hop community because they thought this guy's really weird and he's too eccentric and he hangs around with MF Doom, and MF Doom wears a Dr. Doom mask and talks about eating cheese. These guys are too weird. But what happened was the SpongeBob generation, they've been indoctrinated into the mad craziness. So when now they listen to Madlib, that sounds like Chopin. And
now,
now,
is he actually rapping Mad Libs?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what he's. But he's an amazing producer called Madlib, the beat conductor. And what he does is he because he was so ostracized by the hip hop community, nobody wanted to deal with him. But now, because of the SpongeBob generation, I'll talk about them in a minute, and the significance of that show in the Super Bowl just gone a few days ago. The hip-hop community now want Madlib to make beats for them. So what it is that everybody wants this dirt and everybody wants this roughness because we've been indoctrinated by this system, maybe run by high-ranking Freemasons, that everything's got to be perpendicular, everything's got to be horizontal, everything's got to be triangular, and we're fed up with being told that everything's got to be neat. Everybody wants that grit. And that's why the kids are watching YouTube, because it's not slickly made. It's people like them making relatable content that is quality, that is funny, that doesn't have any FCC regulations on swearing or cursing after a certain time. You know, this generation is surreal, is kinky, is a bit retro, is a bit futuristic, and these people that run CBS and ABC and NBC and the BBC and ITV, they can't get it because they're 70 years old. And the corporations pay for advertising, and they want things in a Masonic box. But we're coming out of that Masonic box. I'm not saying all Masons are bad. I know some good Masons. There's a whole different show on that. There's a secret war going on in Masonry, and George Lucas talks about it in Star Wars. And one side of it is Sith, and the other side of it is Jedi. I think our friend Occult fan, hello, he's a Mason, but I say he's a Mason on the Jedi side. And there's the Masons on the Sith side. So what it is that because there's these Masons that just want to have everybody in a beehive, we want to bust out of that now, and that's it. So that's my take on. Now, going back to what I was saying, one last point. There's an amazing article. It was released on the 26th of January this year from The Guardian by a guy called Jamie Doward, and it's called Sex, Scar, and Malcolm X, MI6's covert 1960s mission to woo West Indians. Basically, declassified MI6 articles from this year state that MI6 funded a magazine in the 1960s for the new intake of a population from the Caribbean that was designed to be anti-communist, and some of the content in Flamingo magazine was soft pornography. So, there's all of these things that get released. So when people say, you guys are just cuckoo gaga, then you say, well, here's The Guardian. It is a YouTube video called Diplomatic Viruses by a respected Bulgarian journalist that proves that America is creating weapons of mass destruction to wipe out everyone with Russian DNA.
Wow.
And it's all there. So all we've got to do is bring the publicly available information. We don't have to do anything like Assange, and we can just bring them down, and that's it. But you've got to do it in a catchy, funny, not Alex Jones shouting and all of that being like a
Oh, come on, Darren, we gotta bring down the globalists. Come on, man. Buy a water filter and hurry up about it. Come on, take the bone broth. Come on. Fuck you, Joe Rogan. Oh, I'm coming to get you. God said to kill you. Joe Rogan, I'm going to kill you. You don't think that's gonna fly? Did you guys see that clip today? Did anybody see that? Tracy, there is a clip, I will tag you in Twitter, of Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan apparently has been exposed as being funded by Soros and Jeff Bezos, and Alex Jones literally like, it's like less than a minute, he's screaming and yelling about how he's going to find Joe Rogan and fight him, and like the last thing he says is just that. He's like, God told me to come and kill you, Joe Rogan. And of course, in my mind, I'm thinking that it's actually Bill Hicks, and that it's two stand-up comedians having like a secret occult flame war, because it's really his friend Bill Hicks pretending to be Alex Jones and vice versa. So,
Well, okay, let's say that Alex Jones and Bill Hicks are the same person. So what? There's nothing that Bill Hicks and Alex Jones say that are really incongruous, right? It's just Alex Jones is kind of an improved version of Bill Hicks. Okay? But whoever the core personality is, it's the same. It's the same personality. It's very similar. And I don't think that, if I found out for sure, and the evidence is very compelling, that Bill Hicks and Alex Jones are the same person, and they may even have a different birth name than any of the names we've heard. Okay, well, I believe that, and I think that just actually makes me like Alex Jones more. And I haven't listened to the guy's show in like 2.5 years.
Me neither.
That's how much I like him. But I mean, I do like him. I respect him, and I think that he's accomplished a lot. And I almost don't even care if he sold out. I don't care.
Yeah.
He did what he was going to do, and he did it pretty well. And Bill Hicks was just the warm-up act to that. Now, what you were just saying about Joe Rogan, okay. This guy revealed himself, I think, a lot when he made a comment about Alex Jones after Alex Jones, I think, like he had apologized to Elephantis because he was getting, lawsuit threats that were palpable that he had to deal with. And it was really probably because it coincided with his ex-wife trying to deny him visitation rights to his children. And her whole angle on that was, you're crazy, and he admitted in court, in order to try to deflect the Elephantis libel suit, he had said that his radio personality is what do you call it? Performance art.
Right.
Okay, so he had already backed himself into that corner, and then and then he had to deal with more issues with the custody suit. So he'd already defined himself as performance art, and it was like, okay, well, if you're performance art, then why are you doing all this stuff? And then Joe Rogan comes out, and this is probably like real low point in Alex's career, and life. I mean, his wife is. I remember, like, he and his wife had been together a long, long time, and so, like, this was, you could tell something happened around the same time he started taking all these advertisers, which it seems like he's making a lot more money from it, but it really changed the format of his show. And then he's getting divorced at the same time. He didn't say, "Hey, everybody, I'm getting divorced." He's not like, "Oh, by the way, I'm getting divorced today." He mentioned it, after the fact, when it's finally, like, in the news and everything, and they're in court and everything, which I understand. Like, obviously, it was embarrassing. Here's the thing about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan comes out and says, "Oh, Alex Jones was on my show before, and it's a shame what happened to him with Pizzagate. He shouldn't have said that stuff, whatever that stuff was." Of course, Joe Rogan doesn't bother to, like, dig into what he actually said and is there anything libelous about it. He's like obviously just saying what he's supposed to say. Rogan is saying, let's all crap on Alex Jones now. And then he says this. He says, "Alex Jones was on my show before, and we smoked weed backstage and everything together, and it was great." And he drops this as like, why the hell did you just say that? And nobody really commented on it except in the comments of the video, but, like, no one else in media commented. No one said, "Hey, Joe Rogan, why did you just in the middle of Alex Jones's custody battle come out and say, 'Hey, everybody, I smoked weed with Alex Jones behind, in the backstage.'"
Yeah.
Why'd you do that, Joe Rogan? Oh, just to be an asshole. Just to fuck up his relationship with his kids, maybe.
Well, yeah.
Well, can I?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
My take on Alex Jones is that he spouts these Christian values, and he talks about God and being close to God and praying. What the man done was he married his then girlfriend, who became his wife, and we know this because she was in a John Ronson documentary when Alex Jones infiltrated Bohemian Grove. So this woman has been with Alex Jones in some really tense situations. If you believe the Bohemian Grove thing to be true, Alex Jones basically said to John Ronson, "They might kill me for infiltrating this with a secret camera." So his girlfriend, who became his wife, was really worried. So she's witnessed this. What now happens with Alex Jones is, because Alex Jones is under pressure, he goes on escort sites and he sees this escort who knows how to do yoga, who's very flexible. So this is a man of God who loves Jesus going for that. Now, I'm not dissing anybody that goes for escorts. I think it should be legal. One of my Future Plus Ultra sites is around the battle everybody has around the human need for attention and affection and sexual desire, and how it brings a lot of people down. So I'm going to write something about that on the Plus Ultra website. But the thing is that if you're somebody who's a person of God, admit your weaknesses to your audience, but he doesn't. But he'll chat about other people's sexual misgivings. He'll chat about Hillary and Uber Haberdine being friends, and then he'll chat about all these other celebrities, but he never brings it on himself. And the other thing, what he's got to realise with Joe Rogan is, Joe Rogan is in the belly of the beast. Joe Rogan lives in California, where the processed church might be running things, and he's with the UFC, who is now run by one of the major talent agencies in the world. They bought UFC last year for over $3 billion. So Joe Rogan is now rolling with heavy people. So what really Jones should have done, if Jones knows how this matrix works, he's got to now create a new strategy where maybe he tones some of the volume down, but he's more precise. And then that way he can still be a guest on Joe Rogan's show, but then he's getting the dirt and the gossip, and then he's being part of some sort of rebellion against that entertainment, that dark occultic entertainment thing that we've talked about tonight. But what he doesn't realise is Joe Rogan's got wife and kids. We don't know what pressure he's under. Do you think everyone that talks to Joe Rogan's his best mate? For all it might be a Mac the Knife scenario. It might be, listen, Rogan, you're going to have Brian Cox on to wind up SB and promote that the Earth is a globe. And maybe Joe Rogan's a flat earther like SB is, but they know that, but they say, we know where your wife and children are, Joe. So maybe Joe is in a catch-22. Maybe him having Eddie Bravo as a guest is him really pushing the boat. But the way they promote Eddie is like he's the Shakespearean clown. Oh, look at him, he's a fool. He's stupid. But Eddie drops a lot of truth.
He does, he does.
So Joe is doing his best, but what we have to be in this game is you have to have some sophistication, and you just can't be that. Now, is Alex Jones Bill Hicks? I believe he is, because the main thing you look at Bill Hicks Chicago rant at a heckler, and see how he shouts and how he points his finger. Look at his body language. Look how he moves like that.
I know exactly which one you're talking about, Daz. Yeah, because I really dug into this deep, but I wanted to say something else on your point about Rogan. Is that I used to watch quite a bit of UFC and follow it. I don't really follow it anymore, but I love the Diaz brothers, and I used to. So being the conspiracy guy that I am, of course, you start watching UFC. You're looking at the Fertitta brothers. That's the guys that started it and owned it. And if back in the day, you could trace their fortune and everything to Zionists in Russia. There was Russian Zionist mafia. That's who was underfunding, and it was almost like the Fertittas were fronting or affiliated with the Russian mobster, gangster bankers. So I think Joe Rogan's been owned this whole time, because he's always pushing the limit, like, oh, I'm going to talk about the moon landing, and then he pulls it back. Oh, I'm going to talk about this, and then he pulls it back. So I think he's just completely compromised from the beginning. He was just a kid doing commentary, and he loved to fight. He's a trained martial artist, and he's a great color commentator. And so I guess actually he's the technical commentator, not color, but you know what I'm saying. I think he's been compromised for a long time, and he's just trying to make the best of it.
Well, to support what you're saying, SB, there was a revelation by one Conor McGregor around the manager of Khabib Nurmagomedov. I'm butchering his name. And the manager of Khabib has direct links with 9/11. And Conor McGregor revealed this in the build-up to the fight that he had with Khabib last year.
I remember that,
And Ariel Helwani had a journalist on his show talking about what these links were. And then shortly after, ESPN go to Ariel Helwani and say, why don't you join us for a big juicy contract? So Ariel Helwani says, all right, I'll join ESPN. But then I think what it means is you can no longer talk about Khabib's manager and his links with 9/11. And this week, who is a guest, one of the guests on Ariel Helwani's show, but Khabib's manager. And no mention of 9/11 was mentioned on that show. Wow. It's a journalist has done, I forgot the journalist's name, but he's done amazing work on Khabib. I think his name's Ali, Khabib's manager. And he's also Luke Rockhold's manager and Daniel Cormier's manager. And he's looked into his role with the 9/11 hijackers. So what it is that I never knew that about Lorenzo and all of his links with the mob. And then the other thing as well is the song, I don't know if Tracy's talked about it, maybe I got it from you, Tracy, is the real meaning of the song Hotel California. and that's just the Hollywood industry. You know, you can check out, but you can never leave.
Yeah.
So Joe Rogan's into this. He can't get out, and he's got to have idiots like Brian Cox. That when Brian Cox is got a good flat earth researcher in front of him, Brian Cox can't argue with them, but yet he's the physics guy for the BBC, and everybody now that he's got on the show is very bland, and people, because I'm talking about the dirt and the grit of YouTube, people on the streets in Liverpool have basically told me, you are conspiratorial. They've just said, I don't watch Rogan anymore. He's lost it.
Yeah, me too.
Something's happened.
Me too. I can't. Tracy, you keep trying to jump in there. I want to give you the chance to.
No, I'm not jumping in at all. I'm saying and
okay
and
so
stuff like that.
I kind of want, if that's the case, I wanted to transition this back to this this guy that's getting in trouble with ICE, because it's kind of similar, you know, when you're dealing with the Muslim Arab part of it, and the fact that I think the story is, I can't keep his name in my brain, but
21Savage.
Yeah, 21Savage. So he's from UK, and his parents abandoned him on a work visa, and then so it's a really convoluted immigration thing, you know, and then they've just snatched him up. So I wanted to get your take on that, because I don't know. I respect your opinion on all the many things you try to tie together, and I assume that you're following it closer than I am.
Well, what occurs is that this is my experience of being into American black music. I've yet to visit America. Hopefully one day, maybe this year, I'll have to see. I could visit the Pacific Northwest and be an actual guest of the XR experience. Maybe Thanksgiving. Oh, watch your game.
Hey, I'll come pick you up from the airport.
Me and Jim in the bar with our eyes. So basically, what it is, the manager of Khabib Nurmagomedov is called Ali Abdelaziz, and the way you spell that, his surname is Abdelaziz. That again is Abdelaziz. Now, if you put Ali and the surname that I've just given you and do 9/11, you will have some facts that are amazing, that will absolutely blow your mind about a UFC manager and his links with supposed links with the 9/11 hijackers. So now going back to what you were saying about 21Savage, in my research looking into African American culture, African Americans are, as a whole, it's us against the world, and everybody gets the blame. The white man gets the blame, these groups get the blame, everybody gets the blame. And where I'm coming from now is we have to address slavery and we have to address what occurred. But what we have to now do is we have to now move on. And this year, because I know you're into your Bible, SB, from more a research point of view than actually a Christian, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but this year, according to an interpretation of the Bible, black people will be free of any type of domination, because what's happened for the past 400 years as a judgment from God, because black people are the original Hebrews, God has punished black people and made them subservient to other races of the earth. But that ends, I believe, in June or August of this year.
Yeah, I didn't know about that, Daz. So that's that might be according to, you think that maybe is according to the British Israelite interpretation of it? Because I'm pretty
the Hebrew Israelite,
yeah, I'm pretty wide open.
Yeah, Herbert W. Armstrong, people like that. You mean?
Yeah,
It's them. It's like I think Hotep, the guy you follow on Twitter, may believe that.
Uncle Hotep might. I don't know about Hotep Jesus. In a subtle way, I asked Hotep Jesus if he was a Gnostic, and he pretty much confirmed it. And I would really call myself more of a Gnostic Christian than a traditional Christian, because I see too much convolution in all of the media that we get to take anything absolutely with any certainty and literally, like, I think I love the example of Jesus Christ, and I don't know, more than saying I love the example of it and I think it's a good model for your life. I can't really, at this point, what can we substantiate? Fomenko from the New Chronology is saying that Jesus was born in like 1062. Half the scholars are saying he never existed at all. So you have to take that all, with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I forgot the actual. So basically, it says August 2019 will mark 400 years since the first documented slaves arrived in America. So according to the interpretation of the Bible from Black Hebrews, it says that God will punish the children of Israel for 400 years. And this was one of the reasons why King James maybe created the Bible as that. But according to the Black Hebrews, this dominance ends. And if you notice in the media, I know you're quiet eating your sandwich in the back, Jim, but I love you very much, mate. If one thing I'm sure Jim's noticed, Tracy's noticed, you've noticed, SB, is that there's so many now black people prominent on our television screens. In the UK, it seems every other news reporter presenting the news is a black person. So 1 minute, like, because my heritage is black and white, I'm yin and yang, I'm the living example of it. I've gone to friends and I'm like, where have all these black news presenters come from? Have they cloned them? And now all of a sudden they've just let them into the BBC and Sky News and ITV. Today's the news and this is my name. And you're like, I've never seen this guy before. So what it is that maybe the Jesuits, maybe this world is run on some sort of Bible code, and maybe this is why we're getting Black Panther and we're getting all this, because they've never done it before. Like, they've never done all this pro-black stuff before. Beyonce doing basically a Super Bowl performance in promotion of pro-blackness in a league in which there is no black owner of no NFL team.
Yeah, I agree that we're seeing it more than ever. Do you think that still ties to the 21 Savage? Do you think even though it looks like bad press, it's still just more ramping up in exposure with the? Because I think they follow the policy that all famous people follow at the top in the media companies. They don't care whether the unwashed masses see it as negative or positive, as long as you're getting exposure. Just like with all the pedophilia crap, I think they're trying to, over the long term, normalize and make something like acceptance of pedophilia, so they don't care if they bring it out as lots of people getting caught, lots of cases in court, lots of people getting thrown in prison, as long as it's in everybody's mind more than it used to be, And so maybe that's what we're looking at with this 21 Savage guy, is that not only is it to ramp up the Muslim hate and all that we've always seen, but that it's also a way to increase the optics on black people in general. That might be a piece of it.
I think what it is 21 Savage is just there's something that's known in British culture. I don't know if you've got this terminology in the States known as a whipping boy. And what basically a whipping boy, where that comes from, is you'd have a member of the aristocracy, and they would be obviously a child in education. And what they would do is they would enforce discipline, where if the child didn't do what they were told, they would beat the child with a cane or a paddle. But you can't do that to a little Lord Fauntleroy, somebody of the high classes, bourgeoisie
So he's got a stand-in.
in Britain. So what they would have is they would have somebody known as a whipping boy who would be a commoner of the same age, who would then befriend the aristocracy, the young aristocrat, and then if the aristocrat done anything wrong, they basically beat the hell out of the whipping boy. So it was psychological torture implemented on the aristocrat. So what I think with 21 Savage is, he was stupid enough to think he could get away with this in the era of Trump. Whatever you think of Trump, Trump doesn't play with this immigration. So what he's done is he's been talking about black people using their money. He was on NBC in December, and they'd done something called $21 with 21 Savage. And what they done was they said to 21 Savage, here's $21, do you invest it in Uber? Do you invest it in another type of Uber service or a New York cab if you were an investor? And then he broke down the money and to the cent, to the 50 cents, and he says, this is how I would move my money. So the majority of that $21 went in as if he was invested in Uber, and the rest of it went into the other two. So he was trying to promote a black empowerment. There's an amazing music video with J. Cole that has been produced. It's beautifully filmed, called A Lot, and it's basically set in heaven, in the other realm where we pass. And it looks like it's a very affluent African-American family. So what I believe is that the powers that be saw a black man who was basically in the industry promoting their message, having the face tattoos and promoting the violence. But what they've done is they've used him as a whipping boy. So the likes of Cardi B, the likes of Nicki Minaj, the likes of J. Cole, and others, Drake, if they're saying, well, if we can touch him and humiliate him, we can do it to you. So the other thing that's sad about it is African Americans are they've got so much anger because so much evil has been done to them, is that when it comes to their little bit, which is soul music, which is hip hop, which is any art form, they only accept their own. So it's a miracle that Nicki Minaj, Rihanna and Drake have been accepted, and the only reason they've been accepted is because Cash Money Records, which is Birdman and Lil Wayne, they basically co-signed Drake and Nicki Minaj, and their attitude was like, Black America, these are rolling with us, and if you don't like it, we're going to ram them down your throat until you do. And then you have Rihanna, and she was with Jay-Z. So Jay-Z had the attitude of, she's with me, and we're going to basically ram her down your throat until you accept her. But there's a lot of resistance from the African-American population. What I see when I go on YouTube and watch things around other people getting into their art forms. And this is why 21 Savage had to pretend he was born and raised in Atlanta. He has the talent, he has the social and economic awareness to really do something good. But if he would have gone to an American audience and said, well, I came to the Atlanta when I was 13, he wouldn't have had any credibility, because there's 10-year-olds who are African American in your country who were gangbanging, who were killing people at 10 years old. So the real people are like Lil Wayne.
No, his street cred. He'd have lost all of his street credibility. Yeah,
Of course,
Lil Wayne got into the rap game when he was 9 years old.
I know if I went, I have an appreciation of American football. When I was, it was starting to get some hype in the mid-80s with a team called Chicago Bears, and specifically their 1985 winning team with William the Fridge Perry, and things. and things such as that. And then my team growing up was the New York Giants. There was a quarterback called Phil Simms. If I ever face the legions of hell, I want Phil Simms to the right of me. That guy is...
Big Phil Simms fan, huh?
Phil Simms is dumb. I don't care for Joe Montana and Dan Marino and all of that. Whatever. Phil Simms is my boy. That man is decision making, is balls. So I was a big Blue, I was a big Giants fan, Lawrence Taylor and stuff, and then I sort of fell out with the game. And
yeah, me too. I'm a huge 49ers fan, so we're actually arch rivals from that era. Because I'm Joe Montana. Steve Young's my favorite quarterback of all time. So I don't want to get too far off track, but yeah, you take me back to memory lane when the Giants prevented the 49ers from making a three-peat Super Bowl. I remember. I cried, man. I went out on my front porch and cried. So
yeah, so I got back into the NFL because Sky Sports, they're like a subscription service. They're like ESPN. They got NFL, and I got back into it, and I didn't like the Giants. I was like, well, because it was New York, a lot of British people either went with the Bears because they were the first team to win it, which was shown in Britain. The New England Patriots because it's New England and there's a link with England, and then the other one was the Giants because it was New York. So I said, I want a new team, and then I just find this team out of Seattle, in which they like the head coach is the oldest coach in the league, but he's really funny and he's got loads of personality. And there was a brilliant article in Deadspin around Coach Pete Carroll grilling a retired Air Force general around 9/11 at the Mason facility of the Seahawks. And when I heard that, I said, that's my team. That's my team right there.
I didn't know that about Pete Carroll. That's interesting. So Pete Carroll was asking so many questions about 9/11. The coach, because Pete Carroll was the coach of the 49ers not too long ago too. That's interesting.
Sure, I remember this.
So basically, this retired Air Force general goes to the Mason training facility of the Seahawks. Ironic name. Well, we love you, Occult fan. And he was just being shown around the facility, and he was having lunch, and Pete Carroll was like, were you working on 9/11? And the Air Force general retired said, I was. So then Pete Carroll was asking more and more in-depth, intense questions, and eventually the Air Force general got that uncomfortable. He just walked out of the facility, got in his car and drove off.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So that's why I love this team, you know what I mean? I love the energy of what I see on the TV. Russell Wilson is a magician extraordinaire.
Oh, we're saturated it up here. You can only imagine we're saturated up here. There's nothing but Seahawks fans up here. We're getting people in the chat like, are we seriously talking about sports? You got to go. If you're not on Twitter, you got to go jump on Twitter and take a look at what DAZ ALT Theory is doing on Twitter. He is talking about everything. He's following crazy Instagram porn stars, sports accounts, music, film, all the occult stuff. He's doing it all. That's why we got him on here tonight. So you know, be patient with us, folks. With this guy, I've never seen somebody tag so many people to so many different subjects, and it is working. He's getting himself. You were on there with the Garbage Can Dudes. You said you're doing with Mark Devlin. I know that you've been interviewed by Tracy, and the first one I caught you on because I'm like, I want to find out who this guy is. He keeps tagging me and stuff. And the guy who did We All Died in 2012, that's a good interview. I can't remember the guy's name, but I know that was the first interview I listened to of yours, Darren.
What I want to tell people is that alchemy exists when you accept the universe. And what we have to do is for us to reach this message and make this world a better place, you do have to touch the sports the guy who goes to a sports bar. You do have to touch the person who's into cosplay, who goes to all the cosplay conventions and gets dressed up like Harley Quinn or Iron Man or the Joker. You have to touch the born-again Christian. You have to touch the person who just watches Pornhub, who's your friend who just wants to roll a joint and watch Pornhub after work. All of these people you have to touch. So we can't have a limited mindset of, well, I don't want to hear about sports. I've come on this show to talk about conspiracy theory because my dad just talks about sports, and I don't like sports because sports made me uncomfortable when I was in high school, and everybody used to point at me and say, that person is rubbish, they can't run. Just get out of that mindset. Tomorrow is a new day. You can be who you want to be. You can get the alchemical process. The alchemical process can involve going to a graveyard with your friend and getting Enochian magic and talking to ghosts. If you want to do that heavy stuff, that's your choice. But an alchemical process is me talking at 6:15 a.m. in the morning to friends in the other side of the world and having to deal with your moaning about sports. Have an open mind, have natural curiosity. That is how you expand. That is how I have seen ghosts and apparitions and had moments of ESP and all types of things since I've had this philosophy of just being interested in everything and anything at the same time. My rule is to not be involved in anything that exploits individuals and people. It has to be consensual and it has to be done with love. But listen to jazz, listen to rock, listen to techno, listen to reggae.
Hold on, we gotta stop at techno, Daz. We gotta hold off on the techno.
Listen, play Grand Theft Auto. It's like this world is a world of delight. So, if you believe there's a God and you'll come back again, fair enough. But if people in the chat room believe that this is a one-time journey and from the day you came and from the day you will return, well, be as naturally curious as you can. Go in a bar, watch an American football game as a sociological experiment just to see how people react and their emotions and their ups and their downs. Figure out, say, why do people, they have no effect on the game, they have no shares in the franchise. Why are they connected to this team? What does it mean to them? Because maybe if you work in a really low paid job, you might need something to pick you up. You might want to be part of something. That's why people go to church. That's why people...
Yeah, sports is just another church. It really is. Hey, man, do you watch the... Do you watch
I'm sorry, chat room. I'm sorry if I've upset you.
No, they're all fine, man. Everyone's having a good time, man.
But
we're all touching each other in the chat, Daz. We're touching each other.
I have to put people on blast. If people are saying stupidness, I'll respond like that. If you don't like how I talk, this is diversity, so respect my diversity.
There's only one dislike right now. Everything's fine.
No, everybody's happy. I was going to say, do you watch the Polarization Nation stuff? You ever check that guy out?
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, so I'll tag you in it. No, it's not music. It's another far out esoteric occult channel. But he's always decoding sports too, and it makes me think of the guy from Twitter, Gary Greenberg. I'm sure you know Greenberg, the numerology guy. He's always talking about sports too. So it all ties together. A lot of the sports is fixed. A lot of it has secret codes in it and all kinds of stuff. But I don't know. We're getting down to the end of the night, Daz, and I was gonna throw on the karaoke song and sing you guys "Mac the Knife." What do you think? You guys want to hear a song?
You're gonna sing
here's one more source for all the nerds out there who say I talk too much about sport. You can go to Texas Monthly, and it is the conspiracy theory. Alex Jones is actually legendary, long dead Texas comedian Bill Hicks, and there's a wonderful beginning photo that They're almost like twins, and that was by Dan Solomon, and that was the 25th of November 2014. So that is Texas Monthly. The conspiracy theory Alex Jones is actually legendary, long dead Texas comedian Bill Hicks, by Dan Solomon, November 25th, 2014. So not only do I talk about sports, but I give you sources as well.
Hey, Jim reminded me that we did have at least one video queued up here. I'm going to switch this over to where it's on the video. And we're going to watch this Elvis video. Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm happy to hear that this is queued up now. Now, Daz, you told us that Elvis could look at 7 different screens at the same time and take them all in simultaneously.
Yeah, what he used to do was, if there was anything, they were very small, like portable televisions, which would have cost quite a lot in the 1960s and 70s, and he stacked them in a square formation, and there was 8, sorry, because 8, it would have to be an even number, so there were 8 televisions.
It had to be an even number, you said?
No, they were
to make a square.
8 televisions, square. So basically, he would sit on his armchair and be watching all these television channels at the same volume. And if there was something on the television that offended him, he would get his Magnum gun and shoot at that particular television. And then his staff would then come without any reaction, and they would just take away that television, move them, and then put a new television in and restack them and have them at exactly the same volume.
That doesn't surprise me at all. He had taken care of business on his pistol. TBC, he had it with a lightning bolt. Elvis Presley did, and he was a martial artist.
Remember in the man who fell to Earth, that the Bowie character who was a space alien, that's what he did, because he was trying to find his wife. He was looking for a signal from her.
Maybe there's a secret meaning to having a square of TVs, because remember they had that back in the day on MTV too. That whole remember the remote control, that was part of their set, was all those TVs put together in a huge wall like that too. So
oh yes, the character is called Thomas Jerome Newton, Tracy, and that could be like maybe Newton as in Isaac Newton.
Well, I think that the ability to actually do this must be a signal that you're a little bit different than humans, because, I mean, we can only look at one thing at a time. And then I wonder about birds, like, they have one eyeball on each side of their head. So, like, can they look at 2 different things at the same time? I don't know. But anyway, I'm impressed that Elvis could do that. And
do you want to
see the video? Yeah, go ahead.
There's a really mad link that I've just connected. The boss who was the boss in Men in Black, of the Men in Black known as Zed, he's actually in The Man Who Fell to Earth.
No.
So his name is Rip Torn. So that could be some sort of insider thing. But Rip Torn plays Dr. Nathan Bryce in The Man Who Fell to Earth. And then later on, he is the boss of the Men in Black in the film.
Wow. Rip Torn is a real trip.
So how were you, SB, with that link? Are you a bit shell-shocked by that, or did you know that's... That'd
be cool.
That was
Thanks.
pretty shocking.
So you've got the video here of the shape-shifting?
Yeah, I've got that video here. We can, it's all queued up, or I'll hit play.
Who's the, what's the source here?
This is on YouTube. It's on Mr. Happy 0121's channel.
Okay.
It's called, Was Elvis the First Reptilian Shapeshifter Caught on Video?
Yeah, and I haven't watched it yet, so I'm excited to see this.
Oh, really? Well, this is pretty intense, guys.
So do you want me to put this on another YouTube tab and watch it at the same time as you?
No, I'll share screen real quick, Daz, so that you can see us first, and then that way you're not having to wait on the delay. So I'll click share
Okay.
screen, and
So whilst we're loading that up, if people really want to be freaked out, because I know a lot of you love to be freaked out, hence why you watch this every Wednesday, go to YouTube and watch something known as the Diamond Jubilee concert, which occurred outside Buckingham Palace in London on the 4th of June 2012, and you will see some very bizarre performances from, for instance, Ed Sheeran, Robbie Williams singing Mac the Knife, and also an amazing one by Grace Jones involving hula hoops, of all things.
Wow.
So make of that what you will. Elton John's in it, Tom Jones is there, Annie Lennox,
Who looks
Clip.
You're good.
So there's a lot of. Oh yeah, there's a song by a singer called Jessie J called Domino, and dominoes are black and white and represent the duality.
They do.
Yeah.
all right. So can you see it there, Daz?
I can see a screen that is a visual metaphor of my thinking process.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Okay, you're definitely with us. Okay, I'm gonna push.
So thank you, SB, for visually putting into what my life has been like. I love that actually, because there's the chat screen with a cult fan, my main man. And then there's another screen of me, and then there's a screen with a Boss graphic equalizer, and then there's a YouTube thing. So that's like how my brain works.
I'm gonna push play on the YouTube one now. Remember, that's what we're all watching together. 3, 2, 1. Here we
Facial
go.
meltdown. It looked like he was having a hard time holding himself together. In the course of that video, I showed a clip from this 1977 backstage. I guess it was a little bit of a ceremony for Elvis. This was Rapid City, South Dakota. Here you see Elvis being presented with a plaque and the Medallion of Life from a little girl. Her name is easy to find online, but I didn't want to put it out here on this video. It's a little bit weird to have your name associated with this, and she is still alive. And let me just say right up front, I do not believe she is a shapeshifter. Now, let's get into the weirdness. Elvis is about to accept the Medallion of Life from the little girl. He's going to lean in, give her a kiss. Everything seems pretty normal up until this point. You'll see some pictures here in a moment, but then about here, things get a little strange. So now we're going to go through a series of pictures where you see the little girl have a range of emotions, and then right about here, she sees something wrong as he pulls away. What does she see? Well, we're all about to see it for ourselves as he stands up and looks at the camera right here. What's weird is somehow the guy holding the microphone misses this part, but here very soon he's going to notice something that is amiss. I think that'll be right about here.
Oh
and
no.
He looks a little disturbed. After seeing this, he quickly walks away and then acts like nothing ever happened.
Whoa.
Look at his face. Yikes. You also see a couple of Elvis's men seeing everything as it happens. One of them steps in front of the camera. The other man goes directly for the eye that was just melting. Here we go
Like,
again,
he needs to
in
make
real
it
time. See Elvis's guy step in front of the camera right here? Then the other guy goes right for the eye. He saw exactly what happened. It's the only way to explain him going right onto the eye.
His eyes still all wonky.
Now you start to see some other weirdness around Elvis's face. Looks like he's getting holes around his eyes. People will tell you, no, those were just dark circles under his eyes. You know, have you ever seen this phenomenon before? And also, look at the shape of his face and head. He looks like a turtle, if not a snake right there. Now, that's important because this is the afternoon of the concert, just a few hours before he goes on stage. We're going to see him on stage here in a little bit, and he's going to look very, very different.
Pull
In
yourself
fact,
together.
now is this the same guy we just saw? In this next picture coming up, was supposed to be taken at the same time as the other picture. What is going on here? How does this even make sense? Now, as they're leaving, if you look back in the background, you'll see them working on Elvis, which he's going to need a lot of work to look like he did in the one picture, that's for sure. One more time, let's look again. I don't even believe that's the same guy. I just don't see it. He looks entirely different. All the way around. It's supposed to be the same day, the same night, the same moment. Even the little girl looks different. Now here's an article about those videotapes. You see the blurry part right in the middle is because this gentleman could not sell these tapes for profit. Someone got a hold of them years ago, I saw this online, and they put the entire 4.5 hours online. Now, someone has chased it all down. That's where I first came in contact with this weird video, the one where his face blows up. The thing about the black and white videos is they're from a pure source. They were only handled by that one gentleman for years and years. So they have more of a clean line of ownership. Now, I don't know what happened to put this online or if he had anything to do with it, but someone snuck them out years and years ago and put the whole 4.5 hours on. I watched it, I didn't record it, but I remember seeing this initial video where his head explodes, and I just didn't know what to make of it. And then I went back and it was gone, it disappeared. And now look how much better the quality is of this video suddenly from the one we had seen earlier. There are cleaner and cleaner versions of this floating around, and there is a version of this where none of this happens. Yeah, bothersome. But there, right there in the color, it was still visible. I've had a lot of time since the first time I saw this video. Crazy reasons that maybe his face did do this, but it wasn't anything unusual. Maybe he had a mini stroke. Maybe it was a medical condition of some sort. I don't know, but what kind of medication did they give him that made his face structurally that different in that short a period of time?
Clonopin!
I don't know.
So Darren, I wanted to ask you something about like this AI that you think is
Like it blew out of his head. Like the dude saw it.
Can I say to it's an auspicious night? You know why?
Let me.
No.
Let me. I'm gonna.
Yes,
I'm
you
gonna
can,
bring.
and no, I don't know why.
I'm gonna
Go
bring
ahead.
you back in here. Hold on. Let me get you back on the screen there, Darren. 1 second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But today is an auspicious day because I have located a video I have been looking for on YouTube for at least the past 3 years.
Oh, really?
And right now I've just found it. Now, what I want everyone to do, this is really important before it gets took down. If after this, Tracy, you can screen grab it and record it, it's really important.
Okay.
It's the title of the YouTube is Jessie J, and the way you spell that is JESSIE, and then the letter J, and then the rest of it is Rock Is Not Dead, and it is from January 13th, 2011, and it's from the Channel 4 News website. Now, I have looked for this video since it was broadcast on British National Television, and it's been unavailable. So tonight I talked about an existing artificial intelligence that has escaped and is trying to assist people. And now, because I talked about Jessie J just now and the song Domino, I just decided just to see if somebody had screen grabbed it and then just put it on their own YouTube channel. And now I found it on the Channel 4's website. Now, the reason why it's important is this is the first interview introducing this artist to the British population called Jessie J. And if you didn't know, if you had it on mute, you would think the reporter was interviewing a dominatrix in an S&M studio. And what I believe what occurs is there's a theory, I can't say the actress's name because obviously we don't want to get sued, but there's a well-known Hollywood actress who is A-list, and it was alleged that she was in high class escort in London, and she was dealing with aristocracy and other high rollers. And eventually, what she said was, "I'm quitting this because I want to become a Hollywood movie actress." So the men she was associating with basically gave her a deal to say, if you do this for another year and you do it exclusively for us free of charge, we will turn you into an A-list star. And this woman has since become an A-list star. She is married to an A-list American established star from a well-known American A-list family. And it's very interesting. And her husband is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So for all of these people in the chat room, I'll give you a bit of a clue. You'll be able to understand who it might be. So what's interesting with this Jessie J Rock is Not Dead interview is that it's almost like the interviewer who's wearing a suit is interviewing a dominatrix in an S&M studio. And if you look at Jessie J, her hairstyle and whatnot, she does come across as quite the dominatrix. So I don't know if they're trying to say stuff to us, but honestly, I'm not winding up the chat room. I have looked for this interview because if you had it on mute and I said this guy's interviewing a dominatrix, people would believe it. It's the most surreal thing. It's only 3 minutes 19 in length, but I have found it after looking for it since 2011.
So, Daz, do you think the AI sent it or put it up there where you could find it easier just because we were talking about it live?
Well, maybe, because as I said, like the AI, it knows in a way, because it's not human, it has a different objectivity. So because it knows my social media habits, and obviously it knows my spending habits from buying great literature such as this, it knows how I think and how I feel. So it's like, well, if Darren's bought this book, he might somehow try to do it. And then on top of what I said before, when you have the screens, and I said that's how my mind works. What happens if AI has got more screens than what a human's possible? So what we think is impossible dots to join, that's joining dots all the time. I know Adam Curtis in his BBC extended documentaries revealed that in the 1970s and 80s, IBM done extensive research on the movements of wind, and when he showed the schematics and diagrams, they looked like Enochian script, but they were like circuits. But circuits, I believe, the symbol for circuits relate to Enochian script. So IBM's trying to do alchemy. IBM are trying to look at the movements of wind and how that impacts on people's moods. Butterfly effect, which is the ultimate answer to everything, which according to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is at 42 or 44.
42, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with this high-end alchemy of trying to have natural curiosity and bring things in. So this is why this show, I think, is very important, because it inspires me to buy literature about female entrepreneurs in the 1980s and a serial killer satanic cult. And we bring it together. So that's what it is. But I want everybody, please watch this video. I can't believe I found it. So I don't know if, because I have mentioned this, the AI has said, right, Darren's going to look for this Jessie J video that he's been looking for years. And then I actually talked about Jessie J singing the song Domino for the Queen, and then something just popped in my head to say, right, let's see if we can find it. So this is where the AI might be. And the last thing is, there's something known as the singularity my whole processes are getting faster and faster and faster. That is the speed in which a question is inputted, the answer is then discovered, and then it is brought back to the individual. They've had to, I think Murphy's Law or a certain thing, they've had to change based on it. And what will happen one day is you will input what the question is, and before you finish it, the search engine or the IT will give you the answer, because that will become the new time. That will extend what time is. So for instance, time, everything as a metaphor is in my hand. Populations, mountains, lakes, every living thing and everything, atoms, everything is in this hand. But what will happen is the AI will come, and the AI will have 3 hands. And then the AI, because everything is speed and time, the AI will become the new time, the new standard time. So we will be involved in time travel and weird paradoxes. It'll be like a Marvel comic, so to speak, our reality. Maybe that's what Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were aware of, but that's where it's coming. Maybe this is why we've got all these Avenger movies, because we're actually having to psychologically prepare ourselves. One day Jim will have Cyclops laser beams coming out of his eyes.
You're closer to the truth than I can give away. But Daz, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. We're getting late, so I'm going to push play on Mac the Knife. And I've never sung this song before because I fucking hate Frank Sinatra, but I'll make exception for you, my lovely RX Only Plus Ultra Picture Show crew. And social media things. I'm on Twitter. Get on me. You'll get on all types of things at DAZ ALT Theory. That's as in the science. Yeah, the link's in the description.
Tracy, do you want to give your social media Twitter thing?
Oh, they all know Tracy.
TracyTwyman.com/+ultra.
They know Tracy. So.
Jim,
Patreon.
Jim, could you give us the greatest, catchiest Twitter handle of all time, please?
It's Jim 062419.
Is that yeah? That's right. It's at Jim.
Can we agree to have it as Jim Sparkly Eyes? Could you change that for me next week?
I think we should put it to a vote. Meet us in the Discord, and we're going to have a raucous debate about what Jim has to change his @ to. So, all right, folks.
What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is @Sonio. That's SEWNEO Sonio. That's been my handle on the internet for a long time. I made it when I was playing poker for money many years ago on the internet. So.
And the last one is, what is the brilliant hashtag for this amazing show?
We do hashtag RX Only Picture Show. Of course, we add hashtag plus ultra. And after this show is over tonight, all week long, you can hashtag IWIWW for I wish it was Wednesday.
and the reason why I say the hashtag is, if people in the chat room want to get our attention or have a lead, if we put the hashtag in, we can collect the information a lot more easier. So that's why the hashtag is really important.
Yeah, the hashtags really help, because if we'll follow you down that way. We'll go look at the hashtag and find things that you're tagging us to that we wouldn't find otherwise. So.
And using Twitter advanced search, if say a cult fan says, well, I told you something in February 2019 and it's happened in November 2019, you could just go on Twitter advanced search and do a cult fan to yourself, and then with the hashtag, and then you can put a time reference in, and you can see all the things that a cult fan has sent you. So it just makes things easier, it makes things more fun and more interactive. So thank you, chat room, for tolerating my insanity, and remember to please screen grab, keep, do whatever. Jesse J, rock is
pretty teeth, dear, and it shows them pearly white, just a jackknife. I'm off. See, now this is just like a real karaoke bar here. Hold on. You tell the lady, hey, sorry, this shark has pretty teeth, dear, and it shows them pearly white. This is why I hate this guy. Just a jackknife has Mac Heath, dear, and he keeps it way out of sight. When the shark bites with his teeth, dear, scarlet billows, they begin to spread. Fancy white gloves has Mac Heath, dear, so there's never a trace of red on a sidewalk. On Sunday morning lies a body oozing life. Someone sneaking around that corner. Could that someone perchance be Mac the Knife? From a tugboat on the river going slow, a cement bag is dropping down. What the hell did I choose? You know that cement is for the weight, dear. You can make a large bet. All the bums in town. Yeah, he's in town. My man, this is okay. Handing it off to Jim.
Drawing bread from his staff. Now Mac Heath spends like a sailor. Do you suppose this guy did something rash? Old Statch Smoke, Louis Armstrong, Bobby Darin, as they did this song, nice Lady Ella too. They all sang it with so much feeling. That old Blue Eyes here ain't gonna add anything new.
With this big fat been jumping behind me, swinging hard jack. That's Jimmy Frank. I know I can't lose when I tell you about Mac the Knife, babe. It's an offer you can't refuse. We've got Patrick. No, we've got DAZ ALT THEORY. Oh man, we need to get this over there further. We can't thank you enough for coming to join us tonight for this wonderful, deadly, very serious, very important. So Guitar-Gree is a silly name now. I wonder what the hell version of this song is I chose. Join us next week for even flatter singing, folks. Getting close to that time where we say okay bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay bye, folks.
Okay, bye.
Sing it with me. Everybody say okay bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay bye.
Okay, bye.
We love you very much. We will see you next week. Join us in the Discord. There are many links below. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, bye.